Hello?
Oh, this is, yes.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Can you give me 1 minute to set up the go-to meeting?
We're going to need
This
another
is Susan
minute.
Gustafson.
Sean is setting up
I don't.
go-to meeting.
This is Susan Gustafson. I don't need the go-to meeting. I'm connected by phone.
Okay, I hear you.
Okay, excellent. So I'm just going to listen in.
Are you expecting to say anything tonight?
Likely not, only if I have a question, if there's something. To be honest, my only question really would be is that if this were approved, would it be likely that other variances, if they ever came forward with any, would be approved easier?
So I guess my question is that if, as a caller, if you do have a question, do you have the option to raise your hand digitally? Because I would like to.
I do not on the phone, but it's okay. I'm not real concerned about the question. It's not the end of the world.
Okay, because we were getting some back.
Oops, sorry.
Go ahead. Background.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We were getting some background.
I will put my end on mute.
Okay, that's great.
Okay. So you just
Yep. So I
tell
just
me
muted my. Yep.
that, you know. Yep. And then I will just mute myself so there's no background noise on your end. Am I good to do that?
Yes.
Okay. All righty. All right. Thank you so much.
Okay, so for members of the board, we did have a member of the public ask for accommodation for digital access tonight. Is completely new to me, but I know that the selectmen do it all the time. So this is through the Town of Wolfeboro's GoToMeeting app. And so that's what this screen is behind you, is to accommodate that. So just to let you guys know kind of what's going on.
Good evening. This is the January 5th, 2026 Zoning Board of Adjustments meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 6:15 p.m. Roll call. Suzanne Ryan, Chairman. Audrey Klein, Vice Chairman. Chuck Sumner is Clerk. Kate McMahon is a voting member. Jody Persons is excused. Sabette Stroman is an alternate who will not be participating tonight as a member. We have a new recording secretary, Suzanne Murdaugh, and we have also with us our interim planning director, Shauna Saunders. Voting members tonight: Klein, McMahon, Sumner, and Ryan. Before I go to the next agenda item, which is a non-public, I just will give you something to chew on. The overview of tonight's meeting. We have a very full agenda. 3 continuances for a special exception, 4 new hearings, 2 special exceptions, and 2 variances. If we are unable to get to all applications tonight, we may have to continue as long as we do such within 90 days. And then I will explain how the public hearing process is going to go. Right now, I would like to make a motion to go into non-public session under RSA 91A3, Roman 2E, consideration of pending litigation, and
L.
I, consideration of legal advice. Roll call vote. Audrey?
Yes.
Kate? Chuck?
Yes.
Ryan? Yes. So you excuse us, we shouldn't be too long.
So many pieces of paper.
This didn't get amended. I want to hear the other set of minutes. The previous set of minutes. I sent her an email. I want to wrap up 25.
Okay, I can add it to the next. Did she email them out to you guys?
November.
She emailed them to you?
November. This is January.
Right, but do you guys have them?
Oh, sure.
You do? So I'll add them to the February meeting.
No, I wanted to get 25 out of the way. This is 26. Yes, it is. I had her on the agenda and she posted it,
Okay, let's do it. Yep, you're right. You're right.
but I don't remember the date.
Hold on.
Okay, I'm calling the meeting back to order. The board has agreed to hear a pending case in February. And the minutes for previous meetings, we had a set in November,
November 20th.
November 20th. And I'd like to wrap up 2025 and conclude the sets of minutes. We all got them. It was December 1st and November 20th.
So the November 20th, I don't have any changes, and I'm okay with them.
You want to, okay.
No
so you make
changes
a
to the
motion
November
accept November 20th, 2025.
Yeah, I'd make that motion unless somebody else has changes,
As printed.
as printed.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 And then the December 1st,
I have one change. On line 87, I just want to add some wording that I actually said. It says, this would be starting on line 86, she stated, she being me, she stated the applicant applied for a studio, and I'd like to add the wording that I included, which was, it's on the floor plan. And then the rest of the sentence is fine.
what,
Move to accept as amended.
I didn't catch what it was that she was amending.
Here, she wants to apply for studio, as shown on plans.
Okay. Make a motion.
She moved it, I second.
Oh, she did? Did she move it?
I second.
Second, okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay. So tonight, as I said, we have a busy schedule, and we may not get to the end. We may have to do some continuances, as long as we do that within 90 days and announce when the dates will be. We'll be in doing the proper thing. Public testimony. Public testimony is allowed. However, I will allow the applicant to go first, and then the abutters. And that the board will ask their questions after both the applicant and the abutters have commented and given their testimony. Also, after the board votes to go into deliberations, the public comment period is closed. We no longer take public comment unless there is a vote of the board that favors reopening, which is an exception. It has to be a very strict reason why. So now, the first case that was continued is a special exception, Sebastian Toronado, 124 Oakwood, map lot 25947, Shorefront Residential District. Request for a special exception for the removal of a home and construction of a new home and placing a roof over a portion of a deck with nonconformities. Expansion of nonconformity structures by no more than 25%. Section 17543A, 1C, and 17543A, 1H, special exception for the roof over the deck. Clerk, would you please comment on the site visit that was previously held?
Okay.
And while the clerk is looking that up, just for notification to the board, so this is one of the plans that was at your place. This is the plan that was missing from the packet at the last meeting. And I apologize, it just didn't get into the packet for this time, so.
So I actually don't have a date for this, but we did do a site visit prior, I believe, to the December meeting. For the board, we had Kate, Jody, Suzanne, and myself. For the applicant, we had Josh Bork, an engineer, and Sebastian Tordonado, who is the owner. We walked the site, we observed the location of the current building and the new proposed building. The objective is to tear down the current home and replace with a new structure that is 35% less non-conforming. That was the extent of what we were able to observe on site. That's all we needed to observe. We left with a reasonable understanding of the proposed project. Respectfully submitted, Chuck Sumner, ZBA clerk.
Okay, wait a minute, just a... All set?
Yes.
Okay,
right.
would you care to present your application?
Yes, I will. Thank you. First, before I start, I'd like to acknowledge and thank Rachel Hempy for allowing me to use her easel to make this presentation a little bit better. So the application consists of the written application and 3 drawings that I included. The first drawing is shown here, which is the existing site plan, if you will. And the pertinent information to get from that drawing is that the areas of non-conforming are shown on the drawing. Area 1, which is an encroachment area of 438.5 square feet. Area 2 is a side yard, which is an encroachment of 218.6 square feet, and that has a distance of the property line of 13.13 feet. And Area 3 is the side yard. There's a shed there that's slated to be removed, and that encroachment area is 84.6 feet, and that distance to the property line is approximately 6.39 feet. And if you total all that up, there's a total nonconformance area of 741.7 square feet. So if you go to your second drawing, you give me a moment to put it up. Now, the second drawing is the proposed house to be built after the existing house is raised. And here again, the items to note, which are written on your drawing, is that the Area 1 is a side yard setback. There's an additional, which is the purpose of this application, an additional setback intrusion of encroachment, of 83.7 square feet, and the distance to the side yard property line has been increased to 15.72 feet. So that's a better situation for the side yard line encroachment. Area 2 is in the waterfront buffer, which is a staircase. And it's a sliver of the staircase, which is approximately 39.1 square feet. And so if you total all that up, and in addition, the other parts of the property that are still encroachment, but they're in the original grandfathered outline, The proposed total area past the setbacks is now 476.6 square feet, and that represents a reduction of 35.7 in the setback encroachment. And that's 476 compared to 741, which is the original outline of the house. That's pretty much it for that. So the key areas to note is that we have a significant reduction of 35.7% in the encroachment area. The remainder of the application is some 8 questions that I've answered for you, but I will run through them again for the purpose of this presentation. But bear in mind that this is just a redevelopment of a currently existing residential residence. So some of these things don't really, are not really appropriate, but I'll answer them anyway. Site suitability, and I wrote in as my answer is that it's adequately suitable for the new house. The impervious area is below 30%, so it's not too big. It's that with the appurtenances, it's still below 30%, and which will require us to provide a stormwater drainage plan when we submit our application for the shoreland permit. Immediate neighborhood impact, you asked about excessive trip generation, noise and vibration, smoke, fumes, etc. Again, it's a single-family dwelling. It's going to be no more than there is now, which is none. And you also asked about will there be any undue nuisance or serious hazards to pedestrians. It's on a street, it's not a through street, so it doesn't present any sort of traffic hazard to pedestrians. Well, you all saw it, so you know there's not a lot of crosswalks on that street. So the availability for public service and facilities, well, we currently live there now, so the services and facilities are adequate. We've lived there for some 35 years, so been all right till now. We'd like year-round water, but we know that's not going to happen, so we'll take what we get. Appropriateness of the site plan consideration shall be given to the following: parking scheme, traffic circulation. There again, it's a house. It's not a business. We're not attracting anybody, and we're not creating any traffic. So not really applicable, but I answered it anyway. And the immediate neighborhood integrity. Okay, well, the neighborhood was developed around 1950s and the 50s and 60s, and of all the entire houses on the street, 5 of them can date back to the 50s, mine being one of them. And the rest have been redeveloped. So that's the trend. The trend is you take the older houses, you knock them down, you rebuild them. Some people think it's a shame, but I'll tell you, I'm tired of cleaning up vermin. We have holes in our insulation, we have mice in the ceiling. At a certain point, you give up and you say, okay, let's take it down and make sure the vermin can't get in. So that's the situation. Impact on the property values, again, redevelopment is what's been happening on the street, and I've yet to see my property values go down because of it. In fact, they keep going up. This year they doubled. Lucky me. And the proposed structure is consistent with the spirit and the ordinance of the master plan. Yes, it is. The the structure fits on the lot, and we've moved it back from the lake. We've taken some 6 feet off the deck, which is nearest to the lake, and we've taken out a lot of non-conforming space, 35.7%. So that's it for the application. That's it for number 2. I have one more drawing that I included with that, which is basically that would be the drawing that would be included with the shoreland permit. And you can see on that drawing that the house does not infringe on any of the 50-foot grids that are used in counting the vegetation on the lot. And each of those grids, if you look at the table, has adequate vegetation, and we intend to keep it that way as we redevelop the lot. So that's my application. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them to the best of my ability.
Questions be held, those questions please with the public or abutters, those that may wish to speak in favor or opposition of the application. Seeing none, I'll take questions from the board.
Just curious, is your septic system and well across the street?
No, the septic system is on the same side of the house.
Okay.
And
all right. It's not shown on.
there is no well on that side of the house.
Okay. Oh, that's right. You have seasonal town water or seasonal lake water.
Seasonal town water.
Okay.
And after that, we have lake water.
So there's actually 2 special exceptions. The other one was covering the deck.
Yeah, the other one, I should talk a little bit about that.
that's
Is the deck. If you look at the drawing, the second drawing that I included, a portion of the deck, approximately 25 to 28%, is in the non-conforming area. So that would be where the special exception would apply. We'd like to have a roof over the deck for various health reasons, and so that's where we'd like to do. It's not the entire deck is not non-conforming. Only about 25 to 28% of it is.
It looks like you've moved the non-conforming back.
Yes.
Reduced the area on the deck?
Substantially, yes.
Okay. So you've reduced the area of the deck, but you would like to cover what's left?
Correct.
I don't have any other questions.
Any other members have a question? Chuck?
So just to clarify, you're roofing over the entire deck?
Yes, we'd like
Okay.
to roof over the entire deck, yes.
Understood. And you said that the water supply is only seasonal, and the rest of the time, do you intend to put in a well, or?
Okay, so it's a little complicated. I own the property across the street from there, which you park
That's
there.
where we parked.
There's a well there. And while we were doing that construction, we tunnel bored under the road, brought a line over. And the intention is that we're going to use that same well to feed water to the house in the winter.
Understood.
So it will be on well water because the lake water quality has gone down substantially since we bought
Right.
the house.
Right.
So,
Understood. Thank you.
yeah.
Are you allowed to use your well even during the time Wolfeboro is supplying seasonal water, or are you not allowed to use your well?
There is nothing stopping us from putting in a well when the seasonal water is there. They provide seasonal water, but they don't provide the water year-round. So
Right.
they actually encouraged us to sink wells and get off of seasonal water. In fact, last year there was a big meeting with the
I remember.
Board of Selectmen about
Yeah.
getting rid of all seasonal water. And so,
Do they charge you for the water? I mean, is that...
oh yeah, absolutely. There's nothing free in this town.
I don't think it's really relevant to this application. I was just curious. I mean, you could
Yeah.
go on your well water completely.
We can, yes.
Okay.
again, there's medical reasons why sometimes we want to be on town water. And that is that the town water is chlorinated, it's purified, it assures that there's no microbes in it, and some of us have compromised immune systems that are not supposed to have any of that type of ingested material.
Thank you. I have no more questions.
Any more questions? Anybody? No? Okay, then we need to go through the 8 criteria.
Do you want to close the public hearing first?
Good
Or not?
idea. Close the public hearing. A roll call vote. Audrey?
Yes.
Kate?
Yes.
Chuck?
Yes.
Ryan, yes. Meeting's closed. Now we do the 8 criteria.
Can we do the 8 criteria and answer both special exceptions as each question comes up instead of going through 8 and then going through 8?
We've done that before. Yeah.
Okay.
That's fine with me, yeah.
Yep, okay. So, number 1, site suitability. Adequate usable space. They are within their setbacks with the expansion of the building, except for these small areas, which they've actually reduced from being non-conforming. So I would say that's adequate usable space. Adequate access, same access as before. It's a single-family dwelling with a driveway or a way to get on the property. And there does not appear to be any floodplain, steep slopes, or any other things such as wetlands or environmental constraints besides what's already been addressed. Impervious surfaces are less than 30%. It's not in a floodplain. I would say it meets site suitability.
I would agree.
You want to take immediate neighborhood impact?
Number 2,
Immediate neighborhood impact. Yeah,
use your microphone.
thank you, sorry. There doesn't seem to be anything at all detrimental about the plan or the site. Certainly trips, which Mr. Tordonato mentioned before, noise, vibration, dust, glare, heat, smoke, fumes, gas, odors, inappropriate hours of operation. They don't generally apply to this. This is pretty much replacing a house with another house. There's no odd hours of operation. So
I would agree.
the criteria are met, I'd say.
Agreed.
Agreed. Number 3, there will be no undue nuisance or serious hazards. One residential property is being taken down and another residential property is taking its place. So I don't see any additional or new undue nuisances or hazards.
I agree.
Number 4,
Chuck, you want to do number 4?
Availability of public services. Nothing has changed here. He was actually enhancing the drainage of stormwater. Other than that, and the water issue, which he's also addressed ahead of time, there is no impact to any public services or facilities.
number 5,
Yeah.
appropriate of site plan consideration shall be given to the following. This is one that I typically find is more appropriate for commercial use, and I don't think most of those apply to a residential property. I do not see that there is any one of A through H that impact the approval of this special exception. Everybody okay with that?
Agreed.
I just want to say, generally speaking, assuming there's no lighting impact already, that any spotlighting or whatnot added to the residential building shouldn't shine on neighboring properties. And we don't have that as part of our application, but that's kind of a,
That's a town ordinance.
it's a town ordinance. So, yeah.
That has to be in compliance. Immediate neighborhood integrity, number 6. The site visit, when I saw the house and the plan that I see, is going to be a vast improvement. Taking down a middle-aged home and put up a brand-new home, and I think it's an improvement for the neighborhood. And
It certainly matches recent trends in the neighborhood.
everybody agree with number 6?
Yep.
I agree with that, and in line with that, number 7, it will only improve the value of the homes in the neighborhood.
Yes.
Nah. Number 7?
I just did it. I just did 7.
Okay, number 8.
The proposed use or structure is consistent with the spirit of the ordinance and the intent of the master plan. It's reducing the nonconformity towards the lake. It's improving the drainage on the property with new construction and new grading. So I think it's consistent with these shorefront master plan goals.
I would then make a motion to approve.
Second?
I'd like to say what
Yeah.
it is.
Okay.
Approve the special exception for Sebastian Tornado, 124 Oak Wood Map and Lot 25947, Shorefront Residential District, for a special exception from application that was dated November 7th, 2025, and per plan. Chuck, help me out on that date for the plan.
The date of
This plan here is a new plan?
Nope, this is the originally submitted plan.
What's the date on it?
July 2025?
Okay, thanks. And for the plan submitted July 25, 2025, being that all 8 of the special exception criteria have been met as indicated. Do I have a second to that motion?
Second.
Roll call vote,
both special exceptions, right? Or
special exception.
You're voting on both of them at once?
This is,
Yes. So, well,
There are 2 special exceptions.
are there
here.
numbers for each special exception? Can we include those in the motion?
So we did not, applications that have come in since the transition to the new planner were not assigned numbers. We are starting that again in 2026. So we're a little bit of a void of numbers at the moment.
So I would,
well, what I'm thinking I should do then is just say, the application as submitted for a special exception on 175-43A1C and 175-43A1H.
Correct.
great.
Is that amendment accepted?
Yes,
Yes.
Okay, roll call vote for those in favor?
yes.
Audrey Klein, yes.
Yes.
Kate, yes.
Chuck Sumner, yes.
Ryan, yes. You have your approval.
Thank you.
I would say that there is a period of, that the application can be contested and
30 days.
standard
30-day appeal
practice.
period to start work at your own risk. Well, you need your shoreline permit anyway, so, yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ms. Chairman, the next application, 29 Smith River Road, has asked to be withdrawn. So I have the email here for each board member requesting that withdrawal, and we need to take no more action on it.
What did I do with my,
29 Smith River. Thank you.
I don't remember.
Okay, so keep losing my agenda. Okay, so second on the agenda was for a special exception. Hollenbeck family, and we have a letter requesting withdrawal.
Correct.
And so I would make a motion to accept the request for withdrawal. Do I have a second?
Second?
All those in favor, roll call. Audrey?
Yes.
Kate?
Yes.
Chuck?
Yes.
Ryan? Yes. Okay. The third item on the agenda is also a continuance. Chuck, if you could find your site visit while I'm reading this off. A special exception for Warren and Jennifer Wilson, 56 Hopewell, map lot 228-39, Shorefront Residential District, rebuilding and expanding of a residential dwelling and deck, shifting away from the shoreline, increasing the footprint less than 25% while adding a second floor. And this is under section 175A, 1C, H, and J. And if you would introduce, well, Chuck, could you speak to the site visit that was done?
Yes, we had a site visit last month. We had another site visit tonight. Present was Audrey, Kate, and myself. We met at 3:45. We met with Nick Leganis, the builder. We also met abutters, next-door neighbors, Irene and Andrew J. We spoke with Nick and learned that the J's own the fence that borders with the J property. It's approximately 8.5 feet high. The highest point on the peak of the proposed house is 28 feet high, and it is along that same line which is defined by the fence. The roof is pitched down away from the fence, away from the owners, away from the neighbors towards the owner's yard in order to control runoff. A full basement will be excavated and built as low as the water line will permit, and from there they'll build up. It is anticipated that the house, the first floor of the house will be about 2 feet higher than the current house. Other than that, we looked at wetlands, but the wetlands were on a neighboring property and not on their property. There is a slight buffer line that crosses the property, but it is very minimal. Other than that, we wrapped up our visit with a reasonable understanding of the project. Respectfully submitted, Chuck Sumner, Clerk, Zoning Board.
Ms. Chairman, if I may, really quickly, so for the board members, this is the information that was submitted by the applicant with the green highlight. It was emailed to you on Friday, but this is the hard copy at your seat today. And then for folks that went on the site visit, there was a new plan set that was submitted. Suzanne, this is your copy here, by the builder
Right.
at the site visit tonight. And in addition, I believe everyone received a copy of the opposition to the application submitted by the applicant. My understanding was that everyone here was provided hard copies, but I do have one extra in case folks need it. Thank you, Ms. Chairman.
Okay. Would you reintroduce yourself, please? And also, the applicant will go first, and the abutters and public will go second, and the board will hold their questions until you've laid out your plan. Go ahead.
Very good. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board, Madam Chairman. Again, my name is Philip Marbury, and I'm here on behalf of the applicant for the special exception requests that have been submitted with regard to this property. And while we were here last time, I am going to spend a little bit of time going through it and addressing as I go some of the concerns that were levied in the objection that was provided to this board. But I'll start by just outlining, it's actually a fairly simple project that unfortunately has kind of been made more convoluted. But in order to understand where I think the objection has gone wrong, it's important to understand a little bit of history that led to where we are today. Because the applicant submitted a building permit earlier this year, a building permit that was approved initially. And construction and efforts were taken in response to that. Architectural drawings were drawn up, permits were applied for the shoreline permit, all of these things were granted, and then an objection came in to the town from the abutter that put everything on halt. And that led to the town concluding that special exceptions were needed, which I agree with, as obviously after the fact we've looked at everything and I was brought in, there are needed special exceptions. But unfortunately, most of the information contained and the conclusions that are drawn, other than legal conclusions that are just wrong, in the objection that was provided, the best I can surmise is that the objecting party took permit application information from the originally submitted architectural drawings, survey drawings, and incorporated those, ignoring the documents that were actually submitted to this board as the basis for the 25% expansion or less than, it's actually 5 to 7% only, and the other information necessary for the appropriate special exceptions that have been requested. Now, after this is approved, my client is understandably hesitant to spend more money getting complete drawings at the preliminary stage until the appropriate special exceptions are approved, at which point all of the drawings that must conform to the special exception documentation that has been submitted to this board will then get generated and the process will continue. The building permit will have to be procured again, subject to the special exception. But it's important to note, when you see the total disconnect between what the objecting party has levied as existing and what this party, what my client has actually submitted as part of this special exception, that this is what governs. The previous permit, the previous architectural drawings, those are no longer relevant to the extent that things have changed since then. And any permit that's going to be procured will have to and will comply with the exact parameters of what has been submitted in the proposed plan for these special exceptions. That's an important history to understand because it's the only way I can wrap my head around some of the numbers and some of the conclusions that were submitted in that objection. With that said, now let's move on to the specific special exceptions that we are here requesting. And there are a total of 3. The first is a special exception pursuant to subparagraph C for an expansion of the horizontal footprint less than 25%. And it's really important to understand, we've gone back and forth. I personally have gone back and forth with this board many times over the proper interpretation of subsection C, but the language is pretty clear, and it's where I believe this board has concluded time and time again. It's where I believe the legal counsel to the town has concluded is the proper interpretation of this statute. And it says, any non-conforming portion of a building or structure may be expanded or extended. Let's pause there. We're talking about an expansion of the non-conforming portion of a building. And so that's what we can expand, and here's how it determines what it can be expanded by no more than 25% of the non-conforming building or structure. This is crucial to understand, and this language, I can't testify as to exactly what they meant when they drafted it, but the language is precise, and it is 2 different things here. The non-conforming portion can be expanded by 25 or no more than 25% of the non-conforming building. So easy hypothetical. Let's say we have 1,000 square foot total building. 100 square feet is in the non-conforming setback. It's a non-conforming portion. That as long as it doesn't further encroach into, right, because there's a different subsection that says, well, even if you could expand by 25%, you can't do so if you're going to push that furthest line of encroachment. So that's a limitation, and that's a good limitation. But that 100 square feet could be expanded by up to 250 square feet. The non-conforming portion, because that would be 25%, or maybe 249 to keep it under the 25%. That non-conforming portion could be expanded by up to 249 square feet, because that's 24.9% of the total non-conforming structure. This is the plain language interpretation of this ordinance, and this is how this board has consistently begun to apply this exception, which is really important, because that's, again, how it has to be read. Now, it then goes on to do that limitation, which is a really important limitation, but with no further intrusion into the setback area by special exception, which would immediately trigger that variance requirement. This is also specifically addressed in subparagraph E, where it defines the non-conforming limit of encroachment as a measure of the shortest distance between the lot line or the mean high water line and the intruding part of the structure when we're talking about that shoreline setback. So, simplified version of it. Even though it could expand by up to 25% of the total structure, it can't do so if it's going to further encroach into that setback. It needs to either stay the same or, ideally, and as we have attempted to do here, pull it back a little bit from that furthest line of encroachment. And so applying that specifically to the application that we have submitted, and the surveys will demonstrate all of these numbers very clearly. We've taken great pains to provide a proposed conditions plan that shows the overall building and deck to show exactly where the furthest line of intrusion for deck and structure are. We've also submitted, and this was all previously submitted, a detailed plan that shows and breaks down the deck structures exactly as they are, proposed and existing, as well as the actual structure itself measured to drip edge as the ordinance required of both proposed and existing. And here is what those numbers represent. Number one, the total encroachment for the deck, which is the furthest line of encroachment, is being pulled back by 1.7 feet. Okay, now that may not seem huge, but as the objecting party has also noticed, this is a very small lot. And so 1.7 feet further back away from the lake is 1.7 feet further back, and that's a good thing. But that's related to the deck. And it also shows that the furthest line of encroachment of the drip edge has been pulled back from the furthest line of encroachment by a very small margin, right? But again, the plans show that it is not further encroaching past that furthest line of encroachment, drip edge to drip edge. And here's what the numbers are. The total increase, as we see from the actual horizontal footprint of the structure itself, is going to go from 685 square feet up to 740 square feet, which is a net increase of 55 square feet in the non-conforming portion of the building within the shoreline setback. I do want to distinguish, because there is an other variation that's happening on the side setback, and I will address that. But this is just talking about the shoreline setback for now. This calculates to a total increase of 5.25% when using the calculation that I articulated at the beginning as enumerated in subsection C. The total increase of the non-conforming portion is 5.25%, well under the 25% limit to that expansion. It's also worth noting here, because the objection attempts to use, again, I can only surmise total habitable square footage, which is an issue we have addressed before this board several times on cases in the past years, as trying to make that the measurement of the 25%, that you have to take the total habitable square footage of the house, basement, first floor, second floor, and use that as the basis. That's not what this is talking about in subsection C. This is the footprint of the non-conforming portion of the building and the non-conforming structure. And so the vertical expansion is not dealt with in subsection C. An expansion into the basement is not dealt with in subsection C, nor is it relevant. We're dealing with the horizontal footprint, which is why we use only the numbers pertaining to the horizontal footprint. I believe the objection stated something like a 5 times increase, which obviously would be above 25%, but it's not. It is an increase of 5.25% of the horizontal footprint of this structure in a more conforming way, pulling it back from the shoreline and, again, well within the limits of what is permitted by special exception. We move then to the second special exception, and I'll address the side setback, because if you look in your proposed condition plan, you'll see that the currently existing structure has a very strange kind of out jog pushing out from the building towards that side setback in the area. And the proposed plan is going to completely remove that, bringing it back to be more conforming, and then extends horizontally a little bit, where there is going to be a total, let me make sure I get my numbers right here, there will be an additional 20 square feet added further back from the furthest line of intrusion, so it still complies with the setback requirements of subsection C, or the special exception requirements, but we're actually removing from this area a total of 36 square feet. So the net reduction in the non-conforming portion of the building in the side setback is actually negative 30%. I'm going to still assume that this board is concerned that it's a change in the non-conforming portion, and so we want to make sure that it complies and it's not pushing this over the 25% limit of a horizontal expansion of the non-conforming portion of a building. And so that amounts to, even if we disregard the 35 we're removing and we just say it's 20 more square feet in that setback, that would be 1.91%. under these calculations, which brings our total expansion both in the shorefront setback area and the side setback area to 7.16%. Again, very well within the 25% allowable, and in all ways making this building more conforming, less pushing into those setbacks and pulling back. The final special exception that we are requesting is for vertical expansion of the non-conforming portion of the building. And this is under subsection J of the relevant statute. And it's really important to notice here that subsection J states, a structure may be expanded vertically within any setback above existing non-conforming footprint beyond 25%. But must obtain a special exception from the Zoning Board of Adjustment. The language there is confusing, but the conclusion can only be that the beyond 25% meant that this wasn't intended and shouldn't be interpreted as additional expansion that would push it out of the 25% as we're looking at that horizontal expansion. And the objecting party has tried to make the argument that because we are seeking an expansion of that footprint, that somehow, their argument is that it is now no longer existing non-conforming footprint. But that argument is such a semantic argument that has no substance, because the minute the special exception for the horizontal footprint is approved, that becomes an existing non-conforming footprint. And the idea that we would have to come to this board to get the special exception for the horizontal expansion, and then only once that's built and becomes an existing non-conforming portion of a building, then come back to build a vertical expansion is preposterous. I mean, it defies reason and logic. And so assuming that this board approves the special exception for a 25%, or in this case, a 7-point-whatever% of the horizontal footprint, the ability for this board to also approve a vertical expansion is well within this statute's meaning and intention, and well within this board's discretion and power. And so we are requesting that that vertical expansion be allowed and be permitted. Now, with that, I want to address a few specific concerns that this board raised at our last meeting, because one of the questions that was raised is how much of a vertical expansion will this be? And so I want to address that. And it sounds like some of this was addressed at the site visit, but I want to provide the detailed numbers for this. Because the current existing structure at the lakefront end, which is the non-conforming portion, comes to a total of 16 feet 7 inches. That is the height of the highest point of the roof of the current non-conforming portion of that building. The increase on the back, on the front side, which is in the conforming area, is only going to be 8 feet 6 inches higher, up to a total of 25 feet 5 7/8 inches. But the portion of the building in the non-conforming area is going up to, and let me, 1 second. I just want to make sure I'm giving the precise numbers here. The highest point of the non-conforming portion will be a total of 28 feet, 15, 1.5 inch. So 28 feet, 1.5 inches, which is an increase of 11 feet, 6 inches, 6.5 inches to be precise. And so that is the increased height of that non-conforming portion. It's about 11 and a half feet taller than the currently existing structure at its highest point. As was noted, another request was which way the roof was going to slope. It is sloping away from the J side of this lot line, which again, because of its proximity to that side, was done for stormwater drainage purposes. A rendering has been provided to the board of what the face of that side will look like. It has minimal windows that are all situated higher in the second floor, such that their primary purpose is to allow light in, and a risk of visibility between the two is minimal. If you look at the rendering, the windows are situated higher up in that second floor to allow light in. The renderings also demonstrate that this is not some monstrosity being added in. My client is very aware of the character and nature of this neighborhood, and I've also submitted additional property cards and photos of the two properties that flank the Jay's property and our client's property. And we're looking at 10,000 square foot mansions on the other two sides of this property. And so the idea that my client, by seeking to simply add a second floor to what is otherwise a very small and quaint cottage, is somehow uncharacteristically, and egregiously violating the spirit of this neighborhood, is again a patent absurdity. It's still probably going to be one of the smallest houses and structures in this neighborhood, not even setting aside the Jay's own property, who is objecting to this increase. And again, I can't fault anybody for having their own preferences, nor will I ever. But when we seek to use our preferences or dislike of some aesthetic or style in order to stop somebody else from doing what they're entitled to do, that's when it just crosses a line. And that's what I believe the objections amount to here. For whatever reason that had never previously been communicated to my client in any way, there were objections about the way my client has used the property, which I will also correct, though I don't think it's relevant for today's proceeding. This is first and foremost my client's home. They live there, they use this home. There are times throughout the summer season that they rent it out in order to help offset the costs of this. But this is not a full-time Airbnb property. This is a property that my clients use as their home and that they invite guests to as the owners of the home. Again, they do occasionally rent it out, but that's not its primary purpose. It is their home. And this is an expansion that will make their home more usable. And it is a very reasonable expansion, fully within the parameters of what the special exceptions under these three ordinances allow. And I would say not even pushing the limits. At just over 7% expansion, and with a horizontal expansion to give a reasonable second floor, but still over 7 feet lower than the building codes of this town in this zoning district would allow, a maximum of 35 feet. These are reasonable expansions and nothing more. I also want to address one final point of objection. And then I'd be happy, after the abutters have had a chance, to answer any question the board has for me on behalf of the applicant before the public comment is closed. But there have been objections that this district has a maximum 30% allowable impermeable surface. Well, when my clients purchased this property, it was sitting at 36%. They then went before the zoning board in 2019 and obtained a variance for work that they did at that time that brought the impermeable surface down to just over 34%. These proposed changes are again going to improve that by bringing the impermeable surface down to just over 33%. Now, that's not a huge gain, but it's a gain at every step that my clients are doing work on this property. And the idea that the 30% limitation is somehow makes this void, impossible for special exception, is just not having knowledge of the history of this property, the variances that were granted in 2019, a copy of which has been provided to this board, that authorized the impermeable surfaces at the current over 34%. And so again, at the end of the day, there's no valid objection. This application and the special exceptions requested comply with all 8, as has been detailed in our application of the special exception criteria. Parking for 4 vehicles is easy on the property, and my clients have never authorized off-street parking, nor would they. And it's never been raised as an issue to my client that ever happened. And so it seems from my client's perspective that there are a lot of either figmented or just never raised issues that they weren't even aware of that are being used to try to block my client from using and improving this property in significant ways. It's also important to know as background that these improvements are going to improve the septic system, which is needed for all of these properties around the lake. And it's improving its environmental efficiency. And in every way, this is an improvement for the town of Wolfeboro. It will improve the values of these homes because it's actually bringing it more in line with the character of the neighborhood as a current outlier, not less. And so there's no reason that this board should deny my client's ability to procure these special exceptions and build the property as they need to do. And again, I'd be happy to answer questions after the abutters have had a chance. As I understood, Chair Ryan, you wanted to hold questions until after abutters had spoken. So,
Might I ask, the presentation that you just gave us will forego going through the 8 criteria?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Well, typically we go through the 8 criteria and then you sum it up. You've done your summary.
And if you'd like me to go through, I did that up briefly at our last meeting also. If you'd like me to touch on the 8 criteria again, I can, but I also have submitted that as a matter of record in writing each of those 8 criteria. Again, if you prefer, I'm happy to go through each of those.
I think we should wait on those and have him come back
So we're going to go through
after we
anyway.
hear other input. I don't know.
Well,
And we have to go through them ourselves anyway, right?
well, I know, but the applicant usually presents
It's part of,
the 8 criteria and their argument towards each one. I've not had it done this way where the presentation encompasses all 8 into one. And I just ask if he is he accepting that presentation is the answer to the 8 questions? And if he's okay with that, then I would go to the abutter who would like to do a presentation.
Sure. I mean, I can briefly go over them just to make sure that I've addressed those for your satisfaction. That's not a
Can
problem.
I just understand what you're saying? They're not written under each question, they're just in the narrative?
Correct.
I did.
That's what she's saying. Okay.
I did write each individual one. If you look,
I mean,
after
you
the
could just
initial
say that, you
narrative-
could just say that the 8 criteria you are submitted for the record as
Yeah, I see
being
them.
stated.
Correct, as being stated and addressed in detail with each criteria, including subcategory in the proposed application. So, for example, I addressed site suitability, adequate usable space.
Well, we don't
adequate
have to
access.
go through, not that you're required to go through them. You could simply say, will the board accept my written application of the 8 criteria as stated as for the record?
So I guess I will happily do that.
Okay, thank
Chair
you.
Ryan.
Okay,
Would
thank
the board
you.
accept my written, detailed explanation of the 8 criteria and its suitability under all 8 criteria as included in the application?
Okay. Well, we'll just accept it for the record.
Okay.
Okay, and now the abutter is up next with the presentation. And before you begin, I'm remiss not doing what I typically like to do, which is under 175-43, expansion and extension structures. The purpose of this section, this is the purpose. The purpose of this section is to establish and distinguish between permitting requirements with respect to building permits, special exception, and variances regarding the expansion or extension of existing non-conforming uses. So again, it is respect to building permits, special exception, and variances regarding expansion. Thank you. And would you restate your name again, please?
Good evening. For the record, I am Rachel Hampy. I'm a civil trial attorney with McLean Middleton, and I represent Andrew and Irene J., who are here tonight to my left here. They own property that abuts the Wilson property that's at issue. They own the property at 58 Hopewell Point Road. And this objection is not merely an aesthetic objection. It's nothing of the sort. It's because this property is too small and not suitable for the large project that's being proposed. We've detailed very carefully our objection to each of the specific criteria, and I'm going to focus on 4 general reasons tonight why this application should be denied. The zoning provisions pursuant to which the Wilsons seek special exceptions do not apply to this proposed construction, which seeks to increase the nonconformity by more than 5 times what's allowed by a special exception. The proposed construction exceeds allowable lot coverage by approximately 6%, and even if the special exceptions were available to the Wilsons for the proposed construction, which they are not, they do not satisfy the 8 criteria for special exception, and I'm going to go through a few of those in particular tonight because mainly the site suitability, the detrimental and injurious nature to the J's abutting property and to the neighborhood and to its inconsistency with a master plan. And fourth, another reason that this board should deny the application is that there's been insufficient information provided. And we agree, one thing that we agree on is that the history here is important. And the history here is that it's been very challenging for the Jays to obtain information about what's being proposed. And in the context here of the history, the Jays, trying to be good neighbors, had been approached about the Wilsons wanting to swap out a tool shed. And when they changed this tool shed, they rebuilt it with a large garage structure with a room above it, which was not what they were being told was going to happen. So here, history is very important, and the details are important, and it's not fair to you as a board, and it's not fair to the abutters that insufficient information is being provided or dropped on you tonight. Starting with the first ground for denying this application is that the special exception that they're seeking under 175-43A 1C doesn't apply here. And I've placed this provision on the poster board here. Along with section 175-43A 1D. These 2 provisions have to be read together. If this were to go to court, the court would read these provisions together because this second section, D, defines how total cumulative expansion is defined. Pursuant to this, only by a special exception, a property can only be expanded by 25% of the actual nonconformity, not by the total size of the house, which is what they argued tonight. And if you think about it, that's consistent with zoning in general and principle. You're probably familiar with the New London Land Use Association versus New London Zoning Board case of 130 New Hampshire 510 from 1988, where the court said the ultimate purpose of zoning regulation contemplates that non-conforming uses should be reduced to conformity as completely and rapidly as possible. So your second provision here, subsection D, does that. That's what it's aimed at. It's aimed at reducing nonconformity for the lot. Otherwise, you'd have absurd results. And our expert, who unfortunately had a conflict tonight, Rick Shellman, he's a surveyor, an engineer, and he also has extensive experience with zoning and planning matters. I think he currently serves as the chair of the Portsmouth Planning Board. He gave an example. For example, if you have a 4,000 square foot house that only has 1 foot that's non-conforming, the zoning doesn't allow you to expand it another 1,000 feet into non-conformity. That would be an absurd result, and that's exactly what the applicant is asking you to do tonight. We gave Mr. Chelman the plans to review. Again, he's an expert surveyor. He works with plans, CAD plans, and he provided figures for you, gave you diagrams to show you that what the Wilsons are proposing is 5 times more than what's allowed. They've got a proposed 700 feet of nonconformity, and they want to increase it to 920. On top of that, with respect to the section, they're also asking to encroach on the wetlands buffer, and it looks like, again, there's insufficient information here, but it looks like they're trying to add an overhang on the roof that would be all along the J side of the property, meaning that they're going to further encroach in the side yard setback. So overall, they're increasing nonconformity, they're not reducing it. Then turning to section 17543A1J, that allows, by special exception, expansion vertically. But here, they're asking to both expand it vertically and below, and horizontally. So the 25% that one could do to go up doesn't apply to the expansion to go horizontally and to go down. This is not just a 2-story building, this is a 3-story building. They're intending to dig into the shorefront area to build a basement floor. And to go into the wetlands area, they're going to need a special use permit because they're affecting the wetlands buffer to the detriment of the neighbors on the lake quality. And I wanted to just read that section in here. It says a structure may be expanded vertically within any setback above existing non-conforming footprint beyond 25%. But again, here, they're looking to go not just above, but they're looking to go sideways and below. And so the sideways portion and the below portion adds to the total 25% that they're seeking to go over by 5 times. A second reason that the board should deny the application, and this is going to tie into the first criteria for special exception, is that the proposed construction is too large and not appropriate for this small lot. Pursuant to the zoning ordinance, section 175-64D, the maximum allowable lot coverage is 30%. And he just explained that they're already over that, and they're attempting to even go further. Our expert, Mr. Chilman, has determined that it's at least 36% already, based on the information that we have. But he notes that if you include the driveway, the additional driveway that they're talking about constructing, it's even larger. And then if you go to the, if you add the potential decks, stairs, and overhangs, that makes it even larger. So they're well over the 30% that's allowed on a lot, and they're doing it on one of the smallest lots in the lake. That alone, in and of itself, the excessive lot coverage should be grounds for denial of the application. Turning to the criteria of a special exception, the first one is lot suitability. And as I mentioned, this is a very small lot. It's only 1/6 of an acre, and it only has 54 feet of frontage. The tax card for this property says it's the smallest lot on the lake. So it's not suitable for this massive house that would add 2 floors to it. Unlike other properties in the neighborhood, which were referenced earlier, some of these larger houses which were described as mansions, those are on larger lots. Those are more suitable for their location. That makes sense. This is a small lot, smallest lot on the lake, and it's not suitable for the proposed construction of adding 2 levels of floors and going into this wetlands and side yard setback and expanding by more than 5 times what's allowed. Turning to numbers 2 and 3 for the criteria, which are immediate neighborhood impact and whether it's an undue nuisance or serious hazard to pedestrians and traffic. I'm going to talk about those together. Most of you have been to the site already, but I want to bring this photograph. It's part of our submission for you and talk about this a little bit.
Take the microphone with you.
Sorry about that. So here is a photograph taken from the snow-covered driveway at the Jay's house. And there was discussion of the fence that the Jays put up to replace an old fence. And I especially want to include this photograph because it shows the roof line that the board very rightly asked about at the last meeting. And what you can't see from this photograph, but right around here is the Jay's porch, which I'm going to mention in a second. It struck me earlier when a prior applicant mentioned that they were just replacing a house with a house. This is partly a business. It's operated to the maximum capacity allowed as a short-term rental, and it involves large volumes of people coming in and out. But it's the renters and even the Wilsons' neighbors or guests or family members have regularly trespassed onto the Jays' lot. These lots are very close together, and this has caused the Jays to have to construct this solid fence. They've had issues with drunk people coming over and passing out. They've had issues with raccoons who have been gathering at the place where they locate trash. There's a chimney here, and right next to it, there's a place where, within the setback, where the Wilsons have been placing trash that brought raccoons to the area. They've had issues with vehicles trying to find parking, or even just trying to find the property, and going into their property so often that they had to install a chain in front of their driveway, which is in one of the pictures that I provided. They also had to put boulders along their property between their house and the Wilsons because people were parking there and they broke a water line. Today, when there was a site visit, there was a construction truck in the parking. It was probably challenging for you to find parking today. So there's already an issue with parking and people trespassing. So they had to build this fence. Adding 2 floors above and below is going to create more space and bring more people and increase these problems. This is, well, let's first talk about the fence and the roof line. The roof line is important because currently, right now, from the Jay's house, and especially from their porch, you see a roof. What's being proposed, as we understand it, is an additional floor with the roof line going the other direction, so there's going to be windows shining into their property. And I included in your packet some photographs that are stapled that I took, trying to show the impact that this will have on the Jay's porch. This is intended to be their sanctuary. It's supposed to be their peaceful place where they can go at night to enjoy the lake without mosquitoes. And who doesn't like a screen porch on a lake in New Hampshire? But the way this proposed construction is going, it's going to have windows shining in this direction, interfering with their peace and enjoyment of their porch. Additionally, I included a photograph of their outdoor lawn chairs that are placed in front of the porch. Again, this is supposed to be their area where they have some privacy and enjoy their lake property, but this proposed additional floor is going to have windows looking directly onto them as they try to enjoy their vacation home. Now, if the Wilsons had wanted to have a McMansion or a mansion or a large house or one with 3 stories, they could have found one, they could have bought one. But this house, this location is not suitable for a 3-story home that's going to beam light, send odors, and send noise in the direction of the Jay's house. Privacy is an important part of the value of property. In fact, the Jays found references to that in multiple real estate websites, and we included those in the packet. Zillow, House County, and another one. And they all talk about how privacy is important to the value of property. So by allowing this proposed expansion, it'll negatively impact the use and quiet enjoyment of the Jay's property, along with its value, because it's going to negatively impact their privacy. Again, if the Wilsons wanted a larger house, they could have bought one, or found one, or moved to one, but here, based on the plain language of the criteria for a special exception, they can't negatively impact and injure the use and value and enjoyment of the Jay's property. And for those reasons, the special exception should be denied. But it'll also have a negative impact on the entire neighborhood. As I mentioned, the Jays had to put a chain up in front of their driveway. There was even an incident when their son was using his swing in the trees that are in the circular driveway and was almost hit by a car. That has expanded. My understanding is that another house up the street has had to put a chain in their driveway because when they can't find parking in front of the Jay's property, the people go up the street. And this is important because this is a private, narrow road, a dead-end road. So people looking for the property or just being curious when they go to the property or when they're looking for parking, they go down to the dead end and they come back. And so they're also interfering with the safety of people walking on the private road. And also when they try to find parking, it's so narrow that it's potentially blocking the access for emergency vehicles that need to pass through this narrow private road. So there's insufficient parking. It's causing a hazard to people and to cars coming through this narrow road. The proposed expansion will just increase these problems by adding more space and adding more people to this overdeveloped lot. Turning to the consistency with the master plan, there are several points of the purposes of the master plan are inconsistent with this proposed project. One of them in Article 1 is to preserve air and water quality, and this intrusion on the wetlands buffer will negatively impact the water quality. Another one is to conserve open space, and this property is already overdeveloped, and this will just add to the overdeveloping of this lot. And a third one is to ensure that the development is commensurate with the character and the physical limitations of the land. And here, this is the smallest lot on the lake. It's already overdeveloped, and this proposal would not be commensurate with the character of the neighborhood or the physical limitations of the land. Also, section 17562 of your ordinance discusses the purpose of the shorefront residential district, which is in part to maintain the integrity of existing shorefront residential district and protect the shorefront from overdevelopment. This is precisely that. This is overdevelopment of the shorefront that's being proposed. They're proposing a 3-story structure in an area that's barely suitable for one, and they're proposing to change the roof line to negatively, to add a story that's at least 11.5 feet taller, as we heard earlier, that would have windows facing the direction of the Jays, sending noise, odor, and light into their property, interfering with their use and enjoyment, and negatively impacting the value of their property. The nuisance that is currently existing based on the current use of the property is also extended into the water. And in your packet, I included a permit for a swim line. The Jays have been compelled to seek a swim line on an annual basis to prevent the Wilson's guests from jet skiing into their swimming area. They or their family members have nearly been run over by jet skis a few times, and this is very dangerous. And so adding more people with additional stories to the structure will likely increase that hazard and nuisance as well. And notably, it's the only property other than the public Cary Beach that has a swim line, but it's been necessitated by the already overdevelopment and overuse of this lot, which will only increase if additional floors are added. And then I just wanted to also emphasize, when I was talking about lot coverage, that the additional impervious coverage will negatively impact water quality, which is inconsistent with the master plan purposes and inconsistent with the purpose of the shorefront residential district. Additionally, when they sought the septic permit, it's only for 2 bedrooms, and it didn't have a lot of information on this necessary. It didn't talk about the proposed expansion. They the additional bathrooms they're planning to add with this proposed expansion, and the outdoor shower. So this property is already overtaxing its septic system, the proposed septic system. Our expert raised this in his letter. He's very concerned about how this proposed expansion is going to affect both the septic system and their water usage. And that's in his letter. And then the other reason for denying this is that we have insufficient details. For example, there's insufficient detail about roof pitches, overhangs, the footprints in the setback area, and the proposed setback dimensions. None of this was included in information to you, and our expert noted that as well. And again, that's especially problematic given the history here, where there's been, where we've been misled before without being provided sufficient information in the past. Based on the available information that we do have, the proposed construction is too big and is too much for the, quote, smallest lot, close quote, on the lake. The property is already overused, causing a nuisance to neighbors and to the Jays specifically. And this will make it worse, intensifying and expanding those problems. The project seeks to expand to more than 5 times what is allowed, which again, the only way to interpret your provision is to, reasonable way to interpret it is to limit it to 25% of the non-conforming part. That would be consistent with existing case law, with the purpose of zoning, and it's the way the court would read it by reading the 2 sections together. And I cited the case in the submission, or an example of one of the cases, about how the court will look to the definition provided in the ordinance, which is expressly provided in your ordinance here, that discusses how the 25% is based on the non-conforming portion, not the entire construction, not the entire structure. The proposed construction will encroach in the side yard and wetland setbacks, and it exceeds well beyond the 30% lot coverage, so the application should therefore be denied. Thank you for your time and your consideration.
Okay, would you like to rebut?
I guess it may make sense for the board to let any other public comment, and then I'd be happy to rebut at the end of that. Just make sure there's nobody else that would want to speak first, if that's acceptable.
Is there anyone in the public that would like to speak in favor or opposed? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing.
No, he wanted to.
I don't want to do that because I might have questions of
Questions?
the applicant. Or,
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I forgot that step.
yeah.
Okay, board members' questions then.
I guess I have 2 comments that aren't questions. They're pretty big overall discussions of a couple of these things. I guess first, I would say that I believe that this board has had guidance in the past regarding how to determine the 25% and what that means. And from my recollection, our guidance is we take 25% of the non-conforming portion of the building. The expansion beyond the setback is a permitted area for expansion. So we're only looking at the non-conforming portion of the building and the less than 25% expansion in that setback that's permitted. The expansion outside of the setback is not included. So that's kind of the benchmark we've been using for non-conforming. So that's my first overall statement on this application. The second one is I don't really accept that the basement is part of the 25% non-conforming. And the reason I say that is because we're looking at the projected footprint, whether it's 1 floor, 2 floors, 3 floors, as long as it stays within the height allowance of our zoning, we don't restrict a bottom floor. In fact, the next section of the zoning in the non-conforming says that you could add a foundation under a building with just the building permit. You don't need any kind of approval from the board. So that to me is saying we're not really worried about adding space underground. And so I don't believe that we should include that area in the non-conforming, the fact that there's another floor. The floor above, obviously, we have the ordinance that speaks to what we can do with that. So that's a separate matter. So those are the two things I think that really impact our looking at this application, is that we're only looking at 25% of the non-conforming footprint, not below, not something outside of the setback. I believe probably what we're looking at is different than what the abutter has in front of them, or what they looked at with their expert. And I have to say I'm somewhat confused, or would like more detail on the end part of this building with the side setback, because there's one little square there that seems to be a trade-off for encroachment in one part of the building that maybe is trading off back there, plus the overhang, and the second floor. So I'm not real secure on how we look at that. And I think this is detailed enough that, given those two overall areas that I spoke of, if we can agree that that's how we look at that, that we can maybe focus perhaps with coming back again with more detail on why we can approve what's going on behind this building, because I don't quite get it. The other thing I notice is that this plan with this footprint is not the actual survey. If it is the survey, this is not stamped as a survey. I think in the end, we would like to see the actual footprint on a surveyed plan, and not just on a construction plan, which is what this is. So those are my big picture items. Again, I've got a number of little things that I don't quite get, but I'd like you all to speak to what you want to speak to.
Go ahead. Chuck.
Well, can we just start at the beginning? You mentioned the first item is interpretation of percent expansion. So, Philip, the numbers you gave us before, is that based on expansion of the non-conforming or area, or the total area of the
It
house?
is. There is other expansion of the totally conforming area that we have not included in these calculations because they're not relevant to these calculations. If any applicant was going to expand the conforming portion of their building, as long as that doesn't impact any of the non-conforming areas, there's no special exception necessary for that. That's something that would just be summarily approved, assuming it complied with all of the code, by the code enforcement office. And so the only thing that has to come before this board is the expansion of the non-conforming portion, which again is very clearly outlined in subsection C there. That's the words it uses.
And the number you quoted was, I believe, a total of 7.2%?
Total of 7.2% of the expansion of the non-conforming portion of the building.
And like
Correct.
you said, that's just based on the horizontal plan. It doesn't include a basement or a second floor. And the basement is just a basement.
Correct.
It's nothing more than that. And the
Correct.
second floor is not accounted for in that calculation. It's only accounted in terms of maximum height.
Correct. That's included in the vertical expansion special exception.
So 7.2% is the number based on our interpretation of that ordinance.
And I do have, just so the board knows, and he would be happy to come and speak on behalf of any questions specific to the surveyor, we have Mr. Oles here, from Norway Plains, who is happy to speak to any specific questions that the board might have as to the survey, as to the plans that have been submitted, etc.
Yeah, I don't doubt that this is, that the survey work's been done. What I don't know is, did the surveyor place this plan on his survey plan, or was that done by the architect, for instance? So in order to make sure that we have it, in the end, that it's exactly what it is, I believe it should be on a surveyed plan. The footprint should be on a surveyed plan.
Absolutely, and I guess I want to also make clear that we're distinguishing between the proposed conditions plan, and both of these were done by the surveyor. These were all done by the surveyor, and the building footprint plan, which was really just provided to give detailed accountings of the numbers for all of these different areas of the calculation for the board. And so that overall proposed condition plan, and I'll let Mr. Ole speak to this, is the survey that has all of it in the actual survey plan. This building footprint plan was really just provided as additional information to parse out all these numbers very clearly for the board.
Right, and I think I did see that, maybe.
So the building plan, I presume, is what was just placed in front of you right there? That is the official survey? Okay. So
Of
that
the
is
existing
the plan.
conditions? Or proposed?
The audience would like to be able to see the drawing, but if the audience sees the drawing, then we can't see the drawing, so. Oh, okay, yeah, you can't see me. Oh, well, thank you.
Steve Oles from Norway Plains. Yes, the plan that I placed in front is the existing boundary survey with the actual architectural plan placed, meeting all the regulations.
So I just want to mention too that the board received an additional plan set at the site visit today. So I believe that's the plan that they're speaking to.
Yes, they are looking at the architectural rendering. I had to bring it in and put it into AutoCAD and make it conform. So that is basically the architect and I working together to make it conform.
So should we approve this eventually, we would be approving that footprint on, the proposed footprint on your surveyed plan and not necessarily the floor plans as we see them?
They are identical.
I understand that, but the
Yes.
piece of paper that we're approving.
Correct. I will put my license and stamp on it.
Yeah,
at the end.
okay. Yes,
So-
you had more?
Well, I guess I'm just trying to just address, you threw out like 4 different items, and I think you wanted to focus on a side yard or a backyard issue, which I'd like to hear
Right.
more about.
So if you take a look at what we got at the site visit today, and you look at along the property line, you'll see this, this dotted line that's in the setback that is being removed. So that's an existing encroachment that they're now taking away. But they're adding a tiny little square that's outside of the existing footprint, but within the side boundary in the back of the house. If you look on the floor plans, it's where the washing machine is. I think that's new footprint area that is not existing, and it's within the setback. So it seems like that's not permitted without a variance, that particular little square. And I know sometimes we trade off, removing something and like putting it someplace else. And in fact, I think we did that in the previous application, although I'm not positive. We moved that, he had a shed, and he, attached that area to the house so that it was less non-conforming.
May I speak to that, Ms. Klein?
Yes,
this may be
please.
helpful. You will have from our original submission, when we submitted the application, a plan that is entitled the Building Footprint Plan. And if you look at that, that's a helpful one for this, because we did want to address that side setback issue. I'll give you a minute to find that plan to make sure that we're all looking at the same thing.
So I actually have more than one of those. One's dated October 2025, one's December 2025.
Look for the October 2025 one, because that was the original one submitted with this application. And it has, in the middle top,
It's not with that. Okay, middle top,
in the middle top, it has a proposed
Yes.
plan that shows the decrease in the non-conforming footprint of 36 square feet with that little out jog, and an increase in the non-conforming footprint of 20 square feet far to the left there. But here's why I believe, and I think it's the right interpretation, that complies with subsection C. Because what it can't do is further encroach past the furthest line of encroachment. That's the measurement. But it is expanding, and you'll notice that the surveyor has drawn the setback line there to show that we are removing it from an area that is furthest away from that setback. And where it's being added is closest to that setback. And so it is an overall reduction of non-conforming square footage, but more importantly, to ensure that it complies with subsection C, it is not further encroaching than the furthest line of encroachment, which would be measured by that 36 square feet that's currently encroaching the furthest from the line.
so yeah, I get that, because that's how we look at the encroachment we're accustomed to on the lakeside. As long as it's not further encroaching from that dimensional number, the closest to the lakeshore, it can be within, it can encroach in that place. So I see what you're saying, and I think it would make it more clear if we actually saw the property line as well.
And I would just say that the property line is the setback distance away from that hash line, so we can
Right.
say with confidence that this is less encroaching. And therefore, I think it falls directly into that 25% or less expansion of the horizontal footprint in a non-conforming portion. But it is less encroaching.
Did you also include the roof overhang in that?
This is the roof overhang drip edge to drip edge, which again points to an inconsistency with what the objection is levying. The original plans had a farther extending drip edge. That's true. But that has been completely taken away and redone. And what you see and what we have presented is drip edge to drip edge. This is the extent of the horizontal footprint as measured by the statutory requirements. And nothing will be built outside of this. This is the drip edge extent.
I get it, and I agree, but do you understand what he's saying?
I'm not sure I followed all of that, but I think we are, once again, reducing encroachment.
Absolutely.
Right.
That's the net
Exactly.
result, and I'm not sure I have the right page, but there was a small rectangle on the existing structure, which is not on the new structure. I think that's what you're talking about.
On the bottom side of it. There,
That's
yes.
being removed.
Right.
Okay, I understand that, and that's clear.
I'm going to ask a question. Audrey,
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
because I heard the word variance, and the engineering write-up from the abutter speaks to that feeling that there are parts of this that need a variance and it's not falling all under special exception. So what I'm wondering, because I didn't follow all the mathematics of this, is that are they trading off what should be a variance to get the special exception?
No, because in my opinion, as my understanding is now, they're reducing the nonconformity, so they don't need a variance.
And we're also not going above the 25%.
I asked Audrey.
Sorry.
They're reducing the nonconformity, and all the nonconformities are less than 25%, and everything less than 25% are special exceptions, not variances, as long as they're reducing that.
So you're saying there's nothing over 25%?
No. If we agree that we're looking at the percentage of nonconforming, not the entire building, just the pieces of nonconforming for our 25%, and we're not including the basement level in that because that's permitted, and the second level has its own rules for special exceptions, then I don't see where the variance comes into it.
I'm trying to recall a case where we had
I know what you're talking about.
The basement My concern was about it being living space. I wish I could remember what case that was, and I can't even remember how we handled it.
I think there are two cases that we dealt with that were a little different than this, that we had to take differently. One was a case on Sewell Road where the nonconformity of the property was there was more than 2 dwellings. So then we ended up taking building space, as the nonconformity, because it was all nonconforming because of the number of dwellings. So that was like a different situation. It can't be applied to this. I had to think about that because I was thinking it was the same, but it's different.
There was another case, too.
On Kingswood, off of Witten Neck Road, that little,
Yes.
yeah, they were adding, they were putting a basement under the camp, and
That was
I think you talked about it being, I think they had a laundry down there or something, but it wasn't habitable space. And I can't remember, that might have actually been a variance, not a special exception. So I don't remember that, but that was the case.
But in any case, we did use the same calculation, though. It was based on non-conforming
Right.
area.
Yeah,
An expansion of that non-conforming area had to be less than 25%.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just would try to be consistent.
Yeah,
Yeah,
what's
yeah.
in, every single case is a little bit different with the pieces in it, so it's hard to get apples to apples. We did it this way in this case, yet when we look at this other case, we've got different factors to consider.
And I don't think that the two sides here disagree on the interpretation of that. I think one side wants to count the basement and the second floor.
They also, I
Yeah.
believe, want to count the entire building, as
Yeah,
far as
well-
I can tell.
I can see
Well,
that they'd like to answer what your premise was.
yeah, well, why don't we let
Go
them
ahead.
answer just so we can hash this out?
You've made an assumption that they can agree on something. I'd like to hear whether they do or
Well,
they don't.
I think they agree on the interpretation, but not on the actual calculations, so I would like to hear the opposing view here.
I think, sorry, you're right, this happens to me every time, sorry. I understood the applicant to be arguing that they can figure out the 25%, not just on the non-conforming portion, but on the entire structure. That would be inconsistent with what we think.
So can I stop you there? Philip, do you agree with that?
So again, the expansion of the non-conforming portion can be up to a maximum of 25% of the structure. Now,
The whole structure or just the non-conforming structure?
the whole structure is the 25%. Now, the non-conforming portion can be increased by that limit. That's the limit. Now, an absurd hypothetical is that you could double the size of the house purely in the non-conforming portion, but that is naturally constrained and intentionally constrained by not allowing it to encroach into the furthest line of encroachment. So the hypothetical straw man that you could have a 1-foot encroachment that results in a 1,000-foot expansion of the non-conforming portion is not possible because it can't expand further encroaching. The expansion has to be behind the furthest line of encroachment, and that language only makes sense in light of this proper interpretation.
Go ahead.
So we actually agree with what was presented by Member Klein, that it has to be 25% of the non-conforming area, and they're proposing 25% of the entire building. So we've got some fuzzy math problems here, and it's compounded by the problem that we don't actually have a detailed, complete, stamped survey. And certainly, we've been asking the town to get a copy of these things. You just unfortunately just apparently got the most recent plan, even at the site visit. That's entirely unfair to us. But based on what we know, and even what they just admitted, they're proposing to expand it by 25% of the entire existing structure, not just the part that's non-conforming. And even if you take out the basement, I think they're going over 25%. Remember, we're saying it's 5 times more. if you even take out the basement, they're exceeding the 25%. And by the way, that basement is not just a basement. It's proposed bedrooms with a bathroom and a shower. We're talking about, this is not like...
We're aware of that.
Okay,
So
okay.
let's
Well,
stick to the narrow question.
It sounds different than what you guys were dealing with before in a different case. The other problem that we have here, which hasn't come up yet, is that the structure on the side where I talked about the raccoons, that we believe is unlawful. So this notion that they're fixing that problem by doing what they're doing with the fuzzy math is also problematic. They shouldn't be including that in their math.
So let me say, that's not the portion that's being removed. That's different.
Well, that's one of the portions, you're right, okay.
Also, I want to say, just visually looking at this, they're calculating the increase of the non-conforming because they don't have to use, they could even add more to the areas that are outside the setback, you know, depending on other factors. So I don't think the dots are being connected between the two arguments at this point. Do you? No. Okay.
Wait, so I'm sorry, is that a question? What do you mean? Can
I don't believe that they're using your statement that they're using the entire footprint of the house in their calculations. I'm not seeing that. Can you show that mathematically based on what they've submitted?
Well, he just said that's how they're calculating it.
That's not how it was presented during the first presentation of this. So can we have him speak again?
And again, the plan that is the basis of all of these calculations was submitted along with the application way back when that was first submitted. We have provided many new additional documents as a result of requests from this board. And those are additional information, but none of that is disconnected or doesn't line up perfectly with the plans that were submitted with our application, which includes the building footprint plan that has all of these numbers detailed, broken down, in every calculation provided. It's really important that we not overlook this other fact. They keep talking about this expansion that's 5 times greater than, and which would be a 500% expansion. But that's because of several things. Number one, they're looking at old architect drawings, they have to be, and old surveys from the original permit that was submitted, and they're attempting to just bury their head in the sand to what was submitted to this board and what we are here today asking for. What we are asking for is a special exception pursuant to the plans that we provided in our application. And that, the numbers are all provided there, the calculations are laid out. We're going from, in the non-conforming portion, 685 square feet, which is demonstrated in the top left, to a non-conforming proposed inside the 50 buffer of 740 feet. This is an increase of a total of 55 square feet in the non-conforming portion. Those are the numbers. We've provided them clearly on a survey drawn, and a stamp will be provided to show the total, and the proposed condition plan has this same information. We simply have broken it down for the board so that there isn't this ambiguity. I still don't know where the basis for the 5 times multiplier is unless it's just taking all the habitable square footage of the whole structure. But again, that's just the wrong analysis, and I think compounded by the wrong data, using data that's either old or just incorrect. But we have provided to this board the specific numbers, the specific drawings, proposed, existing, all across the board, and that is what we're asking. We're not asking for some hypothetical objectionable straw man. If that was part of the original permit application, I can't control that. That's not what my client is seeking today. That's not what we're here for today. This plan, which was submitted with our original proposal, is what we are seeking for in our special exceptions. And it includes the things I've outlined. The deck, expansion in subsection H, the vertical expansion in subsection J, and the horizontal expansion in subsection C, all of which were detailed and articulated in the application itself and are all the numbers provided in the plans to corroborate the numbers in the application.
Okay. Go ahead.
In the application itself, they describe how they calculated the percentage, and they note that the currently existing non-conforming structure total is 1,048 square feet. So they're saying that their proposed expansion is only 5.25%, well within the 25%. In other words, even in the submission to you all, they were basing it on the entire size of the house, not on the portion that's non-conforming.
Where are you reading that from?
I'm reading this from their submission. It's called 8-point special exception request, and it was submitted to you all a while back. It was the only available information to us at the time.
I did see that, and I understand that characterization of the entire building did say non-conforming building, but the more detailed information that we have that you obviously don't have is this building footprint plan that shows the existing two-bedroom house footprint at 1,048 and the entire expansion of the footprint, both conforming and non-conforming, at 1,393. So, it's 200 and some odd square feet larger footprint, but only part of that is in the non-conforming. So this building footprint plan does describe how they figured the 25% within the non-conforming at 685 existing and 740 proposed.
That's what I'm reading too, and yeah, that's,
I
it's just
understand.
above what
I
you
did see
read.
that wording in that application, but that's a general paragraph where this is very specific information, so
Yeah,
I'm not concerned about that.
Chuck?
The 1,048 square feet is the total structure, but that,
Footprint.
yes, and they say 5.2% of that. But above that, what they say is that there's a total of 685 square feet of total non-conforming structure. The current non-conforming portion of the building is 685 square feet. And that is going to increase by 55 square feet. So that, as a percentage, is bigger than 5. It's actually 8%. Right. That's what I'm getting to. So the current non-conforming portion of the building is 685 square feet, which Audrey just read. And there's going to be a net increase of 55 square feet. That, as a percentage, is 8%, 8.0% of the non-conforming area. So it's 8%, not 5%, but it's still well under 25%.
My expert would dispute the footage that they claim is going to be the expanded portion, and it's we think it's closer to what member Klein mentioned, over 200 feet. But setting this aside, they also have a maximum lot coverage problem, and then, of course, there's the
Right,
criteria.
we're just working on this one understanding first, and again, unfortunately, you're working with some documents that are different than what we have for smaller amount of conflicts going on. So when Rick Chelman looked at it, he was trying to, zoom in stuff on drawings that, first of all, aren't these latest drawings, but also weren't the actual drawings. So there's going to be some discrepancies between what he discovered and what is on these drawings.
But as a matter of law and fairness and procedure, the plans should have been already provided to you, stamped, clear, straightforward, for everybody and to look at and to review and to consider. That alone should be a basis for denial. Like I mentioned before, it's not fair to the board members, and it's certainly not fair to the abutters.
That may be, and I'm not really sure what was submitted with the application is not correct. I mean, I'm seeing the dates of October 2025, which is the same as this footprint drawing, in the application that we received for the special exception as opposed to the application for the building permit, which happened some time ago. So I think we have, again, more current specific information for this application, and if we don't, we can ask for it if we need something else.
And I will just reiterate that this building footprint plan was one of the 2 plans submitted with the original application. It was already before the board and available to anybody prior to the last hearing that we had on this. This isn't sprung information. It's simply that the abutter has chosen to bury their head to this and instead focus on the architectural drawings of the original permit. And that's unfortunate, but this is what we're asking for. This is our application. These are the numbers. And this was all submitted as part of the original application. The updated things the board has gotten have been in response to additional information requests, which we were happy to provide. None of it contradicts what was submitted in the original application before this board.
Okay, Audrey, you're the one that brought up the issue of engineered stamp drawing in the beginning. You mentioned this. So which plans are we accepting with this application?
So I believe
Is
in
there
the packet that was stapled together with the application, there is a survey drawing from Norway Plains showing the extent of the construction, the footprint, the overhangs, the walkways, the decks. It doesn't have the floor plans and the elevations that we consider when we're looking at the 8 criteria. As potential impacts, but it does have the footprint on a stamped survey as far as the horizontal extends go.
And that's the October 2025?
Right. Oh, I'm sorry. This says December of 2024.
Sorry, the survey plan, December
I
2024.
got December.
Okay. December 2024, yep. Yep.
But the footprint plan says October 2025, so
yeah.
I guess my
Okay.
question is that the same?
Well,
Just so the record is clear, this, what we just cited, the December 2024 plan is the one we're using tonight,
This is the surveyed plan,
survey.
and this is the footprint plan. So
Correct.
they're dated different, but they're different plans with different information.
But these are the ones we're using
Yeah.
to base our decision on.
Correct.
And so that's, for the record, that's part of the problem. Our expert, for example, points out in his letter that there's inconsistency with those two plans. There's detail that's lacking, there's inconsistency, there's a failure to mention the wetlands buffer line. There's all kinds of problems with these inconsistencies, which are also inconsistent with the argument that was made tonight versus the argument that was made in the submission. And just for the record, we've been
it's fair.
asking for this information on a daily basis.
Right, that's what I was just pointing out. So I guess I would like the applicant to verify that the footprint shown on the survey of 2024 is the same footprint that we're looking at the building footprint plan of October 2025. And also, the application was received November 10th, 2025.
Date,
So there must have been a submittal.
November 10th application, this packet, the first one we got.
Yeah.
So if it was submitted November 10th and there's a drawing in here that's dated December 2025, no, it's October. So that lines up, sorry.
Yep, yep.
Yep.
The new one on your desk tonight is December 2025, which
That's the from the builder, and that's why that's dated.
that was green highlighted, that has a bunch of foundations on it, is December 2025, but apparently that's additional information.
And when was that submitted?
Friday.
And for the record, we don't even have that. We didn't even get, I asked for a copy tonight, and we weren't even provided one tonight. So, again, for the record, we've been asking for this information on a daily basis. They call every other day asking for the information that wasn't there. And now tonight, you have a new plan.
Right, we
and they're
have,
consistent.
you have 30 days to appeal the new information if we should approve it, so I don't
We
think
can
that's a...
continue this hearing until we've resolved
Yep,
these
that's true
these,
too.
mathematical numbers.
Let me
And-
just point out that this one that was turned in tonight was due to emails from the board asking staff to ask for more information, and that's why the date's different and why we have more information.
But the applicant's unaware of all of that going on.
Not the applicant, the...
I mean, the abutter is
Right.
absent of the correspondence that was going on, and
So
I think
I
we
wouldn't
should
mind continuing
continue the
this
meeting.
based on what we discussed about how we're looking at non-conforming percentages, how we've done it in the past, how we've, had guidance on it, and then the discussion about how we feel about the basement part, and come back and have the abutter have the correct paperwork, and we can have another discussion.
Okay, and given the square footage issue, we can ask for independent, non-biased party to sort that out for us.
I don't have an issue with the square footage,
Okay,
but we
so
could, maybe staff can take a look at it and run the numbers
Yeah.
and confirm that.
I would like to make a motion to continue this application to our first meeting in February.
I second that.
Roll call vote.
And again, the reasons are to give the abutter the information that was submitted Friday and today, and to provide that, the email from the attorney on the interpretation of this non-conforming structure section, correct?
And somebody to verify these discrepancies
okay,
in the
yep.
numbers, the issue of the basement. You'll have to take that from all the minutes, all those.
Yep. Given the staffing issues, is that something we want to ask the applicant for, to provide a very clear plan of the numbers?
Maybe they could break it out into those areas. They did the major area. I don't know if that includes those two little parts that were non-conforming and reduced, so...
So we can have them add, so they've got square footage numbers on this foundation plan, the footprint plan, but it has no lot lines or any other information on it. So maybe we have them include the square footage numbers on the survey plan, and that will answer questions?
That should answer the questions. Now, I have a question. There's something about overhangs. I think originally there were big overhangs and now there are not. So is it possible that
Originally, now there are big overhangs, and they're
well, they've been removed, is what I understand.
only along the lot line.
Yeah, so again, in the plan that was provided more recently in response to additional requests, we've even broken down any overhangs and they're shaded in gray on one of those diagrams there for you. We have done everything we can. And so I guess I would ask for clarification, because if you're asking for a more detailed calculation, in the first plan that was submitted that I've referenced several times, there's a whole paragraph there that talks about step by step our calculations.
You know what?
Yes.
I still would like some independent assistance and help to this board. We've got two compelling arguments that are in direct opposite to one another, and I would feel a lot more comfortable with some advice.
The town has a third-party review
I made a
engineer.
motion and a second to continue, and I think I got a second.
I
Yes.
did.
Yes.
And the information that's needed, you can gather from us emailing to you what we need beyond what we've talked about.
So we do not want third party, we want staff to do these calculations?
No, I want a third party.
Okay, because we do have a third-party engineering firm that I can send this information to
Yes.
verify. Okay,
I
okay.
want third party, somebody independent.
Gotcha.
That we're allowed to do that. And I think this is a
Alright.
case where it is helpful.
So I guess my question is, they're not zoning ordinance people, so how are they going to know which numbers to crunch to
Well-
give us the mathematical piece, unless they're instructed?
Well, that's what they're going to have to figure out between them.
Well, I think the purpose of the third party is to make sure that the information that we're receiving across all of these plans is consistent, correct?
The plans that were
It's
turned
consistent.
in?
Yes.
And I would like an independent person. I said they're both in direct conflict with each other. Somebody to say, this is the numbers that should be used.
Well, that's an interpretation of ordinance issue, though, not necessarily a
No,
calculation.
I'm saying mathematically, not the ordinance.
Can you
You have
get
to know
closer
the-
to your mic, please?
You have to know the ordinance in order to run the calculation. I think it's a two-step process. Number one, I'd like to make sure that both parties are working off the same set of plans, number one.
Right.
And then number two, yes, we've seen, I'm pretty good with numbers, but I'm getting a little dizzy here. See in white and gray shaded, symbology, what we're talking about here, and show a credible calculation as to what we're talking about that both parties can agree to. And we're only going to use just one plane. That's it.
Okay.
Number one. Number
Okay.
two, as long as we can agree on the plan.
Chuck, can we move the question? Audrey, in favor of continuing?
Yes.
Kate?
Yes.
Chuck?
Yes.
Ryan, yes. And if we want to clarify any of this, we'll email Shauna.
Yeah, the scope of the third-party review.
And
Is
so
it
that
permissible?
we will be continuing until our first meeting in February.
Correct.
Is it permissible for me to meet
That's
with
it.
anybody and go over these numbers?
What?
Is it permissible for me to participate in the calculation or not?
Yes, if you wanted to come in and we can talk about the scope to be sent to third party, that'd be awesome. Yeah, I'm in on Thursday.
This Thursday?
Yep,
Okay.
perfect.
Okay. Thank you. Now, you can give us a minute to sort out all this paperwork.
Ms. Hampy, if you would, can you give me until Thursday to talk to the secretary about what happened tonight? Because I think if you were to call her first thing in the morning, she's going to be completely lost on what you're asking for because she's so new. But Thursday, we can get you the plans, all the plans that are in the file. Yes. No, I don't think we're getting new plans. We're just getting third-party review. Yep.
Oh, I don't know what to do with all of this.
That was easy.
Well, that was fun.
Wait a minute, this is theirs too, right?
Nope, this is for the next one, or
Oh,
for the
these are
last
ones
one,
left.
actually. That's for the last one.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Oh, no. It's 8:30. But this one,
All right, I don't even know where we are.
so either one. Are we back ready? I'd like to make a proposal to the agenda.
Is that,
I would like to, did we hear all on the first page already? Yeah. Okay. I would like to hear in order either new public hearings number A and D, or D and A, and the B and C are the same property and I think are pretty significant applications, which I don't think we have time to
So you're saying factor?
factor and Fuji, A and D.
And what, continue the B and C?
Well, if we're going to stop at 9, I think that's going to happen, yeah. I would rather knock these two off and continue the two that go on the same property. That's a significant application.
You want to make that a motion?
I do.
Make it. Make it. I mean,
I would like to hear new public hearings, number 6. I'd like to hear A and D, or D and A. I don't care which order. And assuming that we run out of time, then B and C can be continued to the next hearing.
Second.
all those in favor?
Yes?
Yes?
Aye.
Yes. Okay, so,
In terms of sequence, I think I'd rather hear Kenneth Factor first, since he's been here before.
so Chuck,
Also,
Three
we
times.
need to, did we discuss that there's only 4 voting members
what's that?
to the applicant, that there's only 4 voting members and give them the option of being heard or not?
Suzanne mentioned that there were only 4 voting members in the very beginning of the meeting.
Okay.
I don't know that the option was mentioned, but
Probably good that we continued the other one then.
well, it's all attorneys. They're aware.
Okay, so you covered the issue of the 4 members?
So, would the First Colony Development like to just be continued to next month, or do you want to wait to see if we run out of time?
That was my question, so we can wait.
Because we generally
Until-
stop at 9, which is 25 minutes from now.
Yeah. We made it this far.
Okay.
Which
all
ones are
right.
we going to do?
We do have to open it to continue it, so.
So really quickly, for all folks in the room, there are only 4 members here tonight. There should be 5. And so if there were a tie of the board, your application would fail. And so because of that, under state law, you have the option to ask for a continuance, to ask for a decision of the full board before we even move forward with your hearing. So I just want to throw that out there.
Well, it's their option, is what
Correct.
you're
Yep,
saying.
they have the option. Yep.
It's your option to go with 4 or wait till next month.
Okay. Thank you.
So they're going to continue.
So do you want to open B and C and continue to next month?
I can't, I'm trying out, trying out something
We don't have to open
new.
them.
Open B and C.
Don't we have to open them before we can continue
Okay,
them?
I don't
okay,
think so.
yeah, okay. So you're opening B and C?
I think we
And
do.
continue, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so-
Okay.
All right, I
right.
make a motion
So-
to open the hearing for First Colony Development, 60 South Main Street. One is for variance, I think we should do them separately.
So really quickly, what was the vote that we just took prior to this? It was.
didn't.
We did. We just took a vote, a
Oh, to
unanimous
continue.
vote.
We made a vote to continue.
B and C.
No, we made a vote to hear A and D first.
Oh, okay.
A and B. And I don't know, Zoe, I called it.
Okay.
If I didn't, I'd say I call the vote that it was to continue to next month.
Yes.
Vector and
No,
Fuji.
no,
We're doing those now.
right.
No, she's saying she didn't know if we finished the motion to continue A and D. So just in case we didn't, I'm just going to say, could we call the vote?
We're not continuing A and D.
We're hearing them tonight.
We are hearing them?
Yes, we're hearing this one and this one. We're going to continue these 2.
Is that the motion I made, to continue the 2 in the middle?
It's the one you started.
Right.
The First Colony Development variance and First Colony Development special exception, we're going to open and continue to next month, whatever that date is in our next meeting.
Okay, and then, so we're going to hear this?
Yes.
Okay, all right, so let's do the motion to make sure it's correct for the new minute taker and for me too. So we motion to continue to next month
First Colony.
Colony. First Colony, one is for a variance and one's for a special exception. And then I second-guessed myself, should we not do them separately? A motion for each separately?
I don't think you have to. It's nice to
Okay.
have numbers.
I know.
Otherwise, you have to
Yeah.
read the sections, but
Well,
I
then
think...
I'll have to say, First Colony, 69 South Main, for a variance under 174-64A4 and 175-64C1, and also for the same party, which will be for a special exception under 175-43J.
Yes.
Should clarify the purpose of these two continuances for that applicant. Do I have a second?
Second?
Do a roll call vote. Audrey?
Yes.
Kate?
Our next
Yes.
month in the hall.
Yes.
Yes.
Ryan, yes.
Now,
Now.
he wanted to,
We're going to do this one.
right, he is
He's,
First Colony. He just wanted to,
I just wanted to ask a question.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt. You mentioned that there's 4 people sitting tonight. Okay. I just want to make sure that if I come in February, that there'd be 5?
I can't guarantee that.
But am I precluded by them continuing this meeting to the 4? Or
No.
You haven't heard any testimony yet.
Right, no.
So I just want to make sure of the protocol.
Yep, so you can have 5 again.
Possibly.
If everyone comes, yep.
Yeah,
understand. That was my question.
You'll go through this process that you witnessed tonight. You'll start from your application and present.
Oh, no, I understand. I just want to,
Yeah.
it was mentioned that there was only 4.
Right.
And that you need, you prefer to have 5.
We'll do our best to have 5.
I understand that it's a
Yeah.
volunteer board, and I understand that I serve on boards myself. I just want to know that by continuing tonight, I don't preclude having 5.
No, no,
That's all.
no.
That was my
No,
question.
not at all.
And we don't have to advertise it or renotice or anything, that's
All right, well,
all.
thank you very much.
Well, thank you for
Thank
your
you.
patience.
No, thank you for taking the time. Thank you.
And kudos to one of the best behaved children I have ever seen in my life.
He's a good kid.
Yes.
All right, he enjoys it. He wanted to come to the meetings,
That's
He wants to
great. I
follow
love
his
it.
father around.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we open the hearing for Kenneth Factor, 140 North Main Street, map and lot 203, 117. It's in the Village Residential District. It is a variance from section 175-70 setback requirement in order to build a garage 1 foot into the 10-foot side yard setback. And Chuck, could you report as clerk on the site visit?
Well, Shanna, we had
Yeah.
a site visit on November 3rd, in which we met with Ken and also with an abutter Dave Holden, who was unable to attend the meeting but made it clear that he was in favor of the project. Ken went over what he wanted to do, and he explained that he wanted to build a garage 5 feet away from the existing structure, which brought him into the setback area. We went to the property again tonight, just because it was noted. I don't know if you were aware of it or not, but we did another site visit tonight. Audrey, Kate, and myself were there. Nobody else from the applicant was there, but we took another look at the property. It was hard to get a sense of where the property lines were under the snow, so we really didn't get any additional information from the site visit tonight, so I would defer to what we talked about with you back in November. And
so did you see the vinyl fence that my neighbor had up?
yes.
That's 3 feet past the property line.
Okay.
On his property.
Is that a new fence?
No, it's a couple years old.
Okay, all right, so it was there at last visit then?
It was, yeah.
All right. Yeah, we saw the fence, and it looks,
That was the same neighbor that came and said he was in
And
favor.
spoke, yes.
Dave, yeah. Good guy.
okay, yes, we saw the fence. We didn't know that that was 3 feet behind your property line.
Yes.
That helps me visualize what we're talking about.
Gives you an idea,
Yeah,
Okay, you all set? Yeah.
that concludes my report.
Okay, then I'll open the public hearing for this case. Mr. Factor. Well, let's see. I guess whatever is comfortable for you to present your application, if you like to read from it.
I didn't know what I was gonna have, I didn't pull anything out. Can you tell me what you need from me?
Well,
When we left it last time, you wanted a site plan, and Audrey wanted a landscape, which I provided, you guys should have. That was emailed to Shayna.
That's right, there were some questions asked for you to provide.
Those are the last two things. I mean, I think what we're looking for here is, I'm looking for a foot. If I move my garage 1 foot into that into the 10-foot setback, is it gonna be detrimental to the properties adjacent? So if I go into that 9 foot, into the 10-foot setback, I'm still 12 feet away from my neighbor's fence, and his house is on the other side of his property, so another 50 or 60 feet to his house. There's no structures there. My building isn't gonna affect any other structures around here. My neighbor behind me sent an email, said he was all for it. My neighbor across the street said she's all for it. Everybody that's around me says they're in total agreement with it. The building doesn't, it's a 16-foot building, and since I have a 1-story house, but it's on a hill, since it's on the lower side of the property, it's only gonna come up halfway to my house, and the landscape that I provide you is in scale. I measured it on my house. It comes to the middle of a window on the existing house. It doesn't block them or anything. It's quite a distance away, but it's not above the existing property at all. Whereas most of my neighbors have the big barns beside their houses with lofts, or they have a second story. They have like a little apartment and stuff. They have second story barns. Mine's actually shorter than everyone else's. Basically, I think we're looking, is it gonna be detrimental to move that 1 foot? No. Is it gonna hurt anybody putting up the garage? Well, it's a matter of does the garage look better, or do all my trucks sitting at the driveway look better? I think the garage is cleaner and neater. It's gonna be big enough to fit 4 vehicles.
Audrey, you had some questions. Did you get your questions answered?
Oh, no, not really.
I think we'd probably have to go back to those minutes to see what it was that we were asking.
So I wasn't asking for landscaping, I was asking for an elevation of the building, which is...
The landscape, it's called a landscape, the picture, that's called a landscape.
Oh, okay.
Landscape picture.
So I'm going to be really forthright here. What you provided is not a survey, and we really do require surveys when we're giving lot line variances, because we need to be exactly sure what we're giving a variance for. So this is, I don't know what this is,
So a
but...
survey was provided to you at the last meeting. It was the town survey of my neighbor's property, because back before I owned the property, the existing driveway was on the neighbor's property.
Right.
So they rewrote the property lines
So
to show where the property line was.
I requested a survey with the proposal on the survey plan. That's what we require for
You didn't request that of me.
It's what we require in our ordinances for a variance, is a survey plan showing the proposed building and on the survey.
So a survey was provided it was on record already of the
Yes,
neighbor's.
but
the neighbor's property, which shows my driveway.
Right, it doesn't show your proposed building on there.
I can't put that on that survey.
I understand
So
that.
I did get an overhead lot design with the existing dimensions on it, which...
So let me continue.
Ryan
This
had
is not sufficient for my purposes for a variance. I need the survey with the proposed building on a
You didn't ask for
survey.
that last time. You're taking this
I
team
believe I
down.
did, but maybe I didn't, but I'm asking for it
I'm looking for
now.
this much space. I can build it today.
May I finish?
But may I finish?
I
can put it
have-
right next to my property.
I have 3 issues with this application. One is, we require a survey with a proposed building on it for variances, as far as I am concerned. My second question to you, or thing that I asked for, was what this is going to look like, because in your variance application, you say repeatedly that it is similar to your neighbors. It's a similar aesthetic to your neighbors. I don't see that here. I don't see a similar aesthetic to your neighbors.
So the aesthetic I'm referring to is that all my neighbors have barns beside their houses. All my neighbors have Victorian-style houses. My house is built in 1971.
I agree they all have barns, and
Okay.
for the most part, they're absolutely appropriate, scaled correctly, and, you know, very attractive.
So mine is smaller in scale than everyone else's, but it is kind of a barn style, and it does go with the aesthetic of my property.
And my third question is,
Kate, give that to Audrey. Those are the minutes,
Yeah,
minutes from the last meeting with your questions. You might want to scan that.
okay,
The minutes
I
said you
don't
were
want
concerned
to right now.
about drainage and about a survey, a proper
Yeah.
survey.
My third question that I brought up at the last hearing was with regard to this being storage for potential home occupation vehicles. And if you remember that question, I was hoping that could be addressed.
What do you mean by home occupation vehicles?
You
Work trucks?
Yes.
Okay, my work trucks are not lettered. I use my trucks for work. My business, I tow boats on the lake. My boats are stored at a different property down in Elliott, Maine.
Right.
Or at marinas.
And that's not for this board to discuss, but it is a zoning issue that I would like to have spoken to if this building is to store home occupation vehicles. And
They're my vehicles, which I use for both personal and work, but they're not lettered up trucks.
I know they're not lettered up.
Okay. So there's no aesthetic that's going to be violated there by having work trucks in. I had
And that would
I ran
be-
a tow truck in town for several years.
That would
and that
be-
sat in the driveway too.
That would be something you could talk to the zoning office about.
Yeah.
So those are my three concerns.
State them, 1, 2, 3.
Our expectation is for a survey with a variance application with the proposal shown on the survey by the surveyor
And a stamp?
with a stamp.
Yep.
When I say survey, I always mean with a stamp. 2, I'm not seeing the aesthetic that matches or goes along with the others that you mentioned in your application going up North Main Street. I don't see that in this drawing. I don't see that the aesthetic is similar or equally.
How does it not match?
I can't tell you that. You would
You
have
can't
to talk
defend
to
your statement. You
somebody.
got to be able to explain to me how it doesn't match. It's a garage next to a house, which every other house
The
has.
proportions,
I'm the only house on the street without a garage.
I'm not saying that it's not a garage. It's a garage.
Correct.
And then the third one is the question of whether this is in support of a home occupation. And those are my three questions.
And through the minutes, you asked those questions, I think, pretty much at the last meeting.
I believe I did.
And you don't feel you got what you needed?
No.
Yes or no? No?
No, I don't feel like I got what I needed. I would not be able to line up the information that's been given to me with the 5 criteria that I need to judge this application by.
So are you making a motion to continue again?
No?
What do you like to do?
I would like to hear if anybody else has anything to say.
Well, yeah. At the last hearing, you submitted this plan, which was kind of hard to interpolate. This is the plan you were using before, I believe, right?
Can I come look at that?
Yeah. I believe it is.
Yeah, this is the neighbor's property. This is the property line. This
And-
is my driveway.
This is you, okay.
This is my house here.
So based on that,
This is the one that's been on file.
you asked for a variance of 5 feet. last time around. And now this time you have a different survey and you're asking for a 1-foot variance. What Audrey's point is that the survey you used this time is not a stamped survey.
No, I didn't give a stamped survey this time. I thought that was the stamped survey that you guys wanted.
This or this one?
No. So Suzanne actually asked me for an overhead drawing, if you remember. That's what you wanted to see. That's the overhead, that's the site drawing that I provided. You wanted to see how it looked on the property.
Okay.
And I provided that. And I remember Audrey had asked me if she wanted to know what it would look like from the front, because she wanted the aesthetic to be the same as all the other properties on the street. It's where I said I don't know how to put that on there, and she said it's not her problem. So I figured it out. I got you it's exactly what it's, a drawing what it's going to look like. I got Suzanne the overhead, which she had asked for, because you wanted to see exactly how it sat on the property.
Yes, we wanted to see how it sat on the property, and there's two different numbers here. It's the new plan you submitted says 1 foot beyond the
So
setback.
I had always asked for a 1 foot. I don't know where the 5 foot came from.
The application says 5 feet.
The application that you originally submitted says 5 feet.
My letter to, my email to you, Shayna,
Nope,
my email to you says 2 feet, because I wanted to consider the 1 foot, staying with the 1 foot and maybe a 6-inch drip edge. We're doing, I mean, this is a foot, basically, that's 11 inches. That's not gonna make a difference either way. I can put it up today and just put it 11 inches closer to my property. I'm just looking for.
So on the application, number 2, the spirit of the ordinance is observed because it says this is 5 feet from the property line and approximately 9 feet from my neighbor's fence.
Okay.
So I think the plan and what is in the application don't match up.
And the email I sent you asked for 2 feet. Can we come up with a number? What works? I mean, I don't back and forth. I'm not an engineer. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a builder. I'm a guy trying to put up a garage on my property.
Yeah, no, unfortunately, that's what we're asking for, because none of us are licensed surveyors. We don't know what the number actually is.
Right.
And
the problem we're gonna run into is if you say, yeah, you can have a foot, and then my builder gets there, and for some reason has to move it 2 or 3 inches, is that gonna be a problem? Because that can happen in construction. We're dealing with inches here, when I don't think 2 feet or 3 feet is gonna really make a difference in regards to any other property around me. Not my neighbor. If my neighbor's house was on the property line or near the property line, I would understand it. But it's not. It's his is completely on the, you can see on the survey, he's completely on the other side of his lot. And his fence isn't even on the property line, so it wouldn't be like snow from my roof would be falling on his fence or falling, you know, creating a problem in the yard between my garage and his fence. There's no problem that moving it a foot or even 2 feet is gonna cause for any other property around it. And that's what that's what we're looking for. That's the nature of the variance.
The issue with the variance is that one of the things that we have to consider is that this application and this property, there's something about this property that makes it unique from the other properties. And you do have some uniqueness with the grade behind in the back of your property that might create looking at the variance given that. But the fact that you want a garage that doesn't fit on your property because of the property line is not a unique factor. Every property has that constraint. So there has to be some reason for us to say, yeah, Mr. Factor's property is X, Y, and Z, which makes him unique from everybody else down the street who would like to be able to encroach on their setback. And we're not seeing that. I'm not seeing that. And even if I did, I would need very specific documentation and data in a survey that showed me that that was the case.
So this does fit on my property?
I'm sorry, what?
This does fit on my property?
Not within the setbacks.
Yes, it does. It's 24 by 48. I can build it 4 feet away from the existing property, existing building today.
So when you go for a building permit, if the building official feels that he or she has enough information to give you a building permit without requiring you to go for a variance, if they're comfortable with what your setback is, then they can just give you a building permit. But they weren't comfortable with it. They sent you here.
No, that's not true. They were comfortable with it, and they said it's okay. I said, I'd like to get it 1 more foot away from my building to give me 5 feet instead of 4 feet just for snow removal. It's next to a flat roof building, and the slope is gonna come down towards the garage. I can build it 4 feet away. It's just a little inconvenience. The only reason I'm asking for the foot is for snow removal.
And again, we don't know if it's a foot, 4 foot, 9 feet.
Well, either one, would a
don't know.
would a foot be detrimental to any property around it?
We have to hold the line
Excuse me,
someplace.
Audrey, you've explained yourself very well.
Thank you.
You've heard what she had to say. You obviously disagree with it. We made a motion, did we not, to continue?
No,
Oh, and I asked you if that was what you'd like to do, and you said I'd like to ask the board. So
I
would
don't
you
know
like
what
to
the
make a
point-
motion?
I don't know that continuing would get us what we need here.
So then are you like to make a motion to
I would like
open the
to
public hearing?
Open the
And-
public hearing? Sure.
All right, I would make a motion to open the public hearing for the purposes of reviewing the application for a variance for Mr. Factor for sideline setback. Do we want to go through the 5 criteria?
You just opened the public hearing. Is there anybody that wants to speak?
Well, I think we've had plenty of discussion. Okay?
So do we wanna-
Anybody opposed? Anybody in favor? I hear no public comment, so shall we go through the 5 criteria?
Do you want to close the public hearing first?
Let me think
We
for a
usually
minute.
do that.
I can't remember, I drew a blank.
So have we heard everything we want to from the applicant?
Yeah.
And now we want
Yeah,
to discuss
yeah.
internally? Okay, so let's close the public hearing then. Yeah,
I could just drew a complete blank.
that's all right.
I close the public hearing by roll call vote. Audrey?
Yes.
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 Yes. Okay, so now we will go through the 5 criteria. Number 1, the variance will not be contrary to the public interest because it's a garage similar to the other houses on my street. Okay, so
I generally agree with that it is just a garage. I mean, Audrey mentioned that it looks different than other barns on the street, but I'm not sure in the final analysis it's going to look that much out of character on that site with his property. So I don't think it's contrary to public interest per se.
I think, can we do the two of them together, the spirit
Sure.
of the
Okay.
ordinance and public interests?
we can, but and the spirit of the ordinance is observed, and my question would be, does it alter the essential character of the neighborhood?
In my view, it does, because zoning can consider aesthetics. And I don't believe that this is similar aesthetically to, and, both in the proportions, the materials. I believe it's different than the other barns and garages on North Main Street, almost exclusively.
Okay? Any other comment? Number 3, substantial justice is done. Does the benefit to the applicant should not be outweighed by the harm to the general public or to other individuals?
I think all of his neighbors and abutters have said that they are in favor. So I don't believe anybody has a particular issue.
I think with, the proper paperwork and other information that it would be substantial justice for somebody who does not have a garage to have a garage, because that's very common, a common thing in New England.
Can you say that again, please? I'm not quite so sure I followed you.
So I don't think somebody having a garage, as long as they meet the criteria of the variance, I think it's substantial justice that they have one, because in New England, you typically have a garage based on weather. And so that doesn't harm the, general public because there's another garage.
Okay.
I note that the applicant didn't answer that question.
That's true.
And it's the responsibility of the applicant to provide the information. Number 4, the values of surrounding properties are not diminished. Now, one thing that you brought up, Audrey, was your concern about the size of the door, the opportunity for commercial vehicles. We haven't heard just how he stores his commercial vehicles. Did I not hear that he has trucks or something?
Yeah.
The size of the door brought concern at the last meeting.
It's a proportion thing.
What's that?
It's a proportion thing with regard to the building design. So, it doesn't appear to me to be similar to others on the street. Besides the fact that it's a garage, that's about the only similarity that I see.
Okay.
So do we think that's going to decrease the value of the surrounding properties?
I do.
Okay.
But we don't have any, expert opinion on that, so,
So we usually pass on that.
that is just my personal opinion, looking at North Main Street and South Main Street.
Okay, now the hard one, number 5. Little enforcement of the provisions of the ordinance would result in an unnecessary hardship. The special conditions of the property, according to the applicant, geographically limit my possible location, something set back
Raised backyard.
with a slope of 3/4.
There's a rock wall directly back.
Raised
so
backyard.
Okay.
I can't move it back any farther.
The applicant must establish that the property is burdened by the zoning restriction in a manner that is distinct from other similarly situated properties. And A or B, he didn't respond to A or B. Then he put, owing to the special conditions set forth above, the property cannot be reasonably used in strict conformance with the ordinance, and a variance is therefore necessary to enable reasonable use because it is staying within the common aesthetics for all the other houses on the street that have a something barn-style garage.
Barn style.
Current garage is only 8 feet high, and I have several trucks I would like to get out of the weather. So I knew trucks was there somewhere.
So the special condition with the grade in back, that would be a special condition if that was part of the variance we're looking for. But, moving it back or moving it forward is not the issue. The issue is moving it left to right and the common aesthetic of the other houses, in my opinion. So, yes, there are special conditions of the property, but they're not having an impact on the issues that we're looking at.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the house itself, we're talking about fitting into the neighborhood. The house itself is different from the other houses along the street for most of them.
My house was built in 71. It was a prefab
Yeah,
house.
Yeah, it was the dentist's office.
Dr. Ramirez was there.
People, the hearing's closed,
Oh,
you
I'm
don't do
sorry.
the back and forth.
Oh, it was the dentist's office. Damaris was there for a while before, and I think his office was in the ground level. So it is a little different anyway. The overhead shot, the main issue probably is the height of the place. Otherwise, it's going to have a peak like this, and it looks like it'll fit in. I guess getting to the point of the variance, I think it's of some concern. I don't know how important it is, but when Audrey was asking for a survey, if the request was for two different, the 5 feet, the 1 feet, and so forth, it seems that it's important to know where the actual property line is. And if that's a requirement for a variance that has to do with this, with a lot line, that seems like, we probably ought to nail that down. You may not always have the same neighbors, although, so that's the only thing I have to say.
The benefit to people that come before us for a survey is that when they get the building inspector to come back out and finalize, and Audrey knows better than I, and they can't find where those lines are, and where do we end up? Sometimes as an as-built plan, because the building's up. And the other thing is when a person goes to sell their property, it's my understanding, a bank often will ask for a survey. So they'll have it. And then oftentimes, this isn't applicable to this application, but if there's a subdivision potential involved, the planning board's going to ask for a survey. So a survey is not a hardship on an applicant. But
My concern here is, yes, I think a survey is necessary, but I don't want to ask Mr. Factor or, demand a survey from him when I actually feel it doesn't meet condition number 5, even if he does have a survey. So, you're welcome to get one and come forth with that, but I still don't understand what the hardship is. And I don't want him to spend $3,000 or $4,000, which it costs for a survey, and then come back and say, but you told me to get a survey and now you're denying me on number 5. So my feeling is that the criteria are not met, all of the criteria are not met. In particular, the last number 5, the hardship is not met. And we also don't have the information we need, the data we need to properly review the site.
you said, I didn't catch it. It's not.
Data.
It's not met or it is met?
It's number 5 is not met. I
Not
don't
met.
see what the hardship is. And even if I had a survey, I'm not sure that I would see what the hardship is.
Okay. So your motion is?
So my motion is to deny the application based on the lack of hardship
Snow removal is not a hardship.
and the lack of specific site information to verify the request.
Using the criteria to, okay, I'll second that for discussion. So using some of the criteria, I'm trying to find what I'm looking. What criteria, Audrey, that under hardship is not met? For example, the applicant must establish that the property is burdened by the zoning restriction in a manner that is distinct from other similarly situated properties. I'll just go through the list and see if something registers.
It's not burdened by the need for more space due to the sideline setback, because every property is burdened by that.
Okay, so what you're saying is that it's not unique.
It's not unique.
Well, there's something to hang your hat on, right there.
It
Is
doesn't
that
have
there's
special
no-
conditions of the property that
there's-
distinguish it from other properties with regard to the
And there's
request.
no, you're saying there's no special condition for that property that makes it unique from other properties in that area?
For that request. Like
Okay,
I
now
said, it does have a special condition out back.
Will you fix
Yep.
your
So
amendment to say that?
I motion to deny the application because it does not have a special condition of the property that distinguishes it from other properties in the area as related to the variance request.
Okay, and I had seconded it, which I'm seconding your amended motion for clarification purposes. Roll call vote. Audrey?
Yes.
Kate?
Yes.
Chuck?
Two things I'll point out. Number one, the 10-foot rule or ordinance is for everybody's protection. It's, and I agree, inches doesn't matter sometimes, but it's for everybody's protection to make sure that somebody down the street doesn't intrude on a much more sensitive situation than yours. So that's why the 10-foot requirement exists there. Number two, and I'll vote in a minute, the other thing you mentioned is that you want 5 feet from your existing building to the garage for snow removal. You said it would be inconvenient, but you could live with 4 feet.
Correct.
Talk to us.
So,
Talk to us.
Well, no, he spoke to me, so.
Yeah.
The survey in front
Yes.
of you shows that my property is
That's why you
unique to my
talk
neighbor.
to us.
I'm out of line.
My neighbor can build this 5, 10 feet from his house. I can't. The survey you have right now disputes everything you just said.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm out of line by
All right.
talking to you. I'm just trying to explain.
I'm probably out of line with talking back, but
You don't have to
you have the
explain your
paperwork in
vote.
front of you that just proves that's wrong.
Call the vote, Chuck?
I feel I need to explain my vote. I will vote, I agree to reject the application based on everything I've heard.
I vote yes.
Meaning? Reject
Yes
the
for denial.
Deny, yeah.
Yes, okay.
The vote now is unanimous,
4-0, yeah.
4-0. The hearing is closed. You have a right to appeal within 30 days.
So I'm in the office on Thursday, and I can walk you through what your options are.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, one quick other thing, people, and that will be quick. Since we're here anyway, we might as well do it and get it done.
We have another
still have one
case.
more.
Mr. Fucci.
Oh, no, we're going to continue this.
Oh, he's
No.
been waiting all
No, no,
night. It's going to be easy.
Yeah, this
It
is,
can be quick. I just as soon hear it.
yeah. It can be quick. It's a special exception.
I don't even know what I did with it.
So really quickly for the board, we have a plan here. The proposed plan was very hard to read in the photocopies. It did not photocopy well, so that's what the plan is a redrawing of that to make it clear. And then we did have the wetlands investigation report dropped off after the application.
And I have a full-size one if you.
Yeah,
A full-size plan?
just calling it.
Yeah, just it's blown up with bigger numbers. So you can see.
That might be helpful, yeah.
Is it
I'll take that,
Fucci?
thank you.
Is it Fucci we're doing?
Yes.
Do you need it to present? Okay.
Okay, so for the record, we're doing the application of John Fucci,
Great.
and it is,
AKA Jack.
it is 69 Port Weldon Road, map lot 200-012, residential district, special exception from section 175-43A1C for a new sunroom addition within the side setback, expanded by no more than 25%. Here we go again.
Special exception.
So Chuck, would you be, as our clerk, good enough to read the site visit?
Site visit occurred at 3:30 this afternoon. Present for the board was Audrey, Kate, and myself. For the applicant, Jack Fucci, present. We walked up through the driveway and looked at the lot and how it was oriented relative to the street, which is kind of odd. Actually, the property line is well back from the road, limiting the ability to meet setback requirements. Hence, the corner of the sunroom that he's proposing intrudes into the setback. All of the other construction plans he has are within allowable setbacks. That's respectfully submitted, Chuck Sumner, ZBA clerk.
Okay. So we have a survey plan
Yes,
stamped?
yes, the original one is stamped. that you have.
Okay, so it's at your pleasure. You can either read from your application the 8 criteria,
Okay.
or you can say it in your own words, but we
Thank-
got to go 1 through 8.
I'll go, yep, no problem. Thank you. My name's John Fucci, 69 Port Wetland. I'm the homeowner. Have an existing non-conforming home that sits on a corner lot. Port Wetland is my main address. That's where my garage is. My driveway. And it's abuts, the corner lot is a private road, Norma's Lane, that you all parked on during the site visit. I am doing a renovation to the home. In the rear of the building is the sunroom that exists currently. I'm simply expanding the sunroom. It is going to be going straight out 8 more feet from where it currently is. I'm putting in a frost wall to shore up the foundation and making it more energy efficient with new framing and new windows and whatnot. And so it's on the rear of the property. I have plenty of room in the rear. I'm not encroaching on the other side of the property. And the actual extension of that sunroom is going further away from the lot line as it extends to the rear of the yard. I can read the 8 criteria. Site suitability, it's an existing residential home, existing same use, existing structure. So there are no, I have adequate usable space, adequate access, and no environmental constraints. I submitted a wetland plan. I have no wetlands on the site. Immediate neighborhood impact, again, same residential use. No additional trip generation, noise, dust, smoke, fumes, or inappropriate hours of operation. No undue noise, nuisance, or serious hazards to pedestrians. Again, same residential use, existing home, same access. I'm using the driveway. Available public services, all the public services are there already. I'm not touching those. I have private sewer, but I have town water. That has nothing to do with this little corner, 40 square feet that's extending. The same stormwater, I'll be adding stormwater into the entire project. Nothing else with streets, parks, schools, same existing use, all of those. Appropriateness of site, again, residential use, not doing anything different, with any traffic circulation or parking or whatnot. It's the rear of the building and just normal extension of a new addition. Immediate neighborhood integrity, the uses establishes, same residential use, existing home, renovation, adding that. Impact on property values, I hope it increases my property value, and I think it will increase everybody else's. The proposed use of structure is consistent with the spirit and ordinance intent of the master plan. Not my master plan, I think the city's, and it's same, residential use, existing home, just an updated sunroom. And thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from the public? Wait a minute, any questions from the public? Dean, there's no public here, we have no questions. Now I'll entertain questions from the board.
Couple quick questions.
Yes.
Jack, the sunroom is at the rear of the house.
Yes.
And it doesn't intrude on anything. So what's the special exception based on?
It's the side setback, because I'm on what's considered a corner lot.
The side setback on Norma's Lane?
On Norma's Lane.
Yeah, okay.
It's 30 feet, so I'm already non-conforming, so it cuts through the house right in that room. And I'm just extending the room out, so I have about 40 square feet that is still outside the buildable area.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Thanks.
Yeah, I want to add to the notes that, because this wasn't in the denial, but the definition of lot line for a corner lot means that both of the roads on the corner require that 30-foot setback. If that wasn't the case, then there would be no issue here.
This, yeah.
So that's found in the definition of lot line, corner lot.
Yeah, so anything I'm doing to the home, I'm using that side one is 30 and the front is 30 already.
And I think this is a good example of what we had been talking about with the previous applications, where this is not a variance because it's further back from the line of encroachment already by 1 foot 3 inches, where the current encroachment is 22 foot 7, and this encroachment is another foot 3, so it's 23.10. It's further away from the lot line that is causing that that to be non-conforming. So it's a pretty easy thing to look at and say, yeah, that's how that works.
I'd also point out that it's on a regular stamped survey.
And it's on a survey.
Any further questions from the board?
No.
Okay, I'll close the public hearing. Roll call vote. Audrey?
Yes.
Kate?
We need to make a motion.
What?
Move to close the public hearing.
Oh, sorry, thank you.
That's what I'm
Sorry, sorry.
I knew what she meant.
Gotcha.
I moved to close the public hearing.
Yeah, second, yes.
Yes.
Kate? Chuck?
Yes.
Myself, yes. And then the five criteria, the 5 criteria. We need to go through those with reasons why we do or do not approve them, agree with them.
There's 8 criteria.
Oh, yeah, special exception, we're at a special exception. And basically, they're pretty straightforward. Site suitability, number 1. I think the applicant has pretty well clarified all of this, but I have to, for the record, go through it. Okay, so site suitability, the site is an appropriate location for the proposed structure. And that includes usable space, access, and absence of environmental constraints.
Agreed.
Everybody in agreement with that?
And we have a wetlands letter, so.
Okay. Number 2, immediate neighborhood impact. And this is, again, the one that I think is really foolish for residential, but excessive noise, vibration of trips, dust, glare, heat, smoke, fumes, inappropriate hours. I think none of those are applicable.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Number 3, there'll be no undue nuisance or serious hazards. And there's nothing changing as far as vehicle traffic or location or design or access ways. I believe they meet number 3.
Agreed.
Yes.
Number 4, availability of public services, and he has said sewer, water, drainage, fire, street, parks, and school are all the same. Do we agree?
Yes.
No impact, I agree.
Okay. Number 5, appropriateness of site conditions, parking, traffic, open space, fencing, screening, landscaping, signage, commercial vehicles, and again, it's same as any residential, and most of those don't apply.
No change
Agree?
in those? Agreed. Yeah.
Okay, number 6, immediate neighborhood integrity. I cannot see anything that spoils the integrity of the neighborhood with a sunroom.
Agreed.
It's appropriate in the scale and design for the neighborhood, and
Okay,
it's
thank you,
similar
Audrey.
to the aesthetics of the
Impact on property
neighborhood.
values. The proposed use will not cause an impact on property values.
Yeah, his tax is going to go up.
Probably enhance probably the property.
Agreed.
The proposed use of structure is consistent with the spirit of the ordinance and intent of the master plan.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we all agree. So therefore, I make a motion to approve the special exception of John and Diane Fucci, 69 Port Weldon Road, in accordance with the application of November 7th, 2025, and the plan of August 25th, 2025, and for map and lot 200-01, Residential District Special Exception, Section 175-43A1C, for new sunroom addition within the side setback, expanding by no more than 25 feet, because they have met all 8 criteria as stated in the record.
Second.
All those in
Yes.
favor, roll call. Audrey?
Yes.
Yes.
Kate? Chuck?
Yes, point of
Ryan,
clarification, the plan is stamped 9/4/25.
Well, I got something different. I got it right here. Got it off of this right here. Right here. Off of there. It's right there. November, right there.
That's when the application was.
That's when it was submitted. That's what I said, per the application. All right, we can argue about it later.
Just trying to help.
Can you just pronounce the name of that road for me?
Wedlin.
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 Wedeln.
You don't, no, not the
Take it from
extra,
here.
Yeah, I saw,
Wedlin.
yep,
That's how I say
Right
it.
there.
yep.
It's Swedish.
Okay.
I always wanna correct
Board members,
everybody, but I
one
don't.
little tidbit of...
Thank you, you're all set.
Thank you, you're all set. And it can be appealed within 30 days, but I wouldn't expect that to happen. Okay, so the last item on the agenda is other business, and that's the final reading of the rules of procedure, which is the second reading, changed to include details of board's jurisdiction. Does anyone have any problem with the reference to jurisdiction as follows shall apply? No material change, insufficient information, lack of standing, improper appeal process, and that is just punch points of what we would use to determine jurisdiction.
And not the only things, but
Not the only things.
I-
Okay. Do I have a motion to accept an amendment to the rules of procedure, number 18?
was that a motion?
Yeah,
I second the motion.
thank you. Roll call vote. Audrey?
Yes. Yes.
Kate? Chuck?
Yes.
Ryan, yes. I will make sure that they are recorded with the town clerk. Motion to adjourn?
So moved?
Yes.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And thank you to our new transcriber. I feel
Yeah,
sorry
did you
for
keep up? I heard the
And I think it's
Keys
snowing
clacking.
out, so be careful driving home. Because you live where, in Barnstead? Ossipee. Oh, Ossipee, good, that's not too bad.
depends.